was no honor among thieves in the first place. He put hard times on Dusty Rhodes and his family. Hard times are when the textile workers around this country are out of work. They got 4 or 5 kids and can't pay their wages, can't buy their food. Hard times.
You know that I'm the cream of the crop.
It doesn't matter what your name is.
I have come here to chew bubblegum and kick ass.
Woo! I tore them all down.
And I came here for one reason. To attack and keep coming.
I did this for the rock.
You will rest in peace.
I asked you 1,000,000 times to join the NWO, or you would be born alive.
Shut your mouth, you thong-wearing fatty.
Bang, bang. And what you gonna do when Hulkamania run wild on you?
And that's the bottom line, cause Stone Cold said so.
Yeah! I will ride in nothing but limousines, and I will make love to nothing but the women of the world.
You don't know what hard times are, Daddy. You will know that your ass is mine.
Bang, bang.
The best there is, the best there was, and the best there ever will be.
You got a championship belt? I don't.
That's right, I'm a Paul Heyman guy.
When Ric Flair's in town, showtime. Woo! Sweet! My belly's just a little big, my honey's just a little big, but brother, I am bad and they know I'm bad.
If you can survive, if I let you.
Orderly! Woo! It is Rolex time!
Spoke the Raven.
You just made the list! Who you beat, brother?
You dig that sucker!
I am the game!
The whole show.
If I can be serious for a minute.
You son of a bitch! Brock Lesnar. Damn!
Austin 316 says I just whipped your ass.
Oh, you didn't know? I mean, you're the Donald Trump of wrestling. You make Steven Spielberg look like a guy running 8mm films in a garage someplace. Will you stop?
You don't want to recognize my belt, huh? You don't recognize my belt. I think you're a liar. I think you're a flat out, straight up, lying, crying bitch.
God, that song is so old, my speakers will barely handle the MIDI of it. Jesus Christ, what is going on, everybody? It is Friday, it is Dirt Sheet Dudes, and if you think you hear a lot from us weekly, just wait till this weekend. It is WrestleMania weekend. Is everybody pumped for WrestleMania 36?
After that, hells yeah.
Oh, yeah.
The podcast too big for 7 days.
Oh, too big for 2 nights. We have to go 4 this week. What's wrong with us? We fucking mental or what? We fucking mental. Anthony Smark, how are you gentlemen doing?
Pretty good, man. What day is it? Is it Tuesday? Being stuck in the house, I'm starting to lose track of time. I have no sense of time anymore, bro.
Yeah.
And I'm not being funny right now. I just no sense of time anymore.
I know, man. It's, well, I don't know. I don't know. But anyway, I have no clue. But Smark, how are you doing over there?
Yeah, what's going on? Time's a flat circle. That's pretty much where we're at right now.
All right. There you go. And I'm just sitting over here waiting for a statewide lockdown. Anyway, it's
wow. Jesus, Box, tell us how you really feel.
What? What did I say? I was thanking the chat room for showing up tonight. I know you guys got a lot of fucking wrestling you guys are going to get in this weekend mostly. So we definitely appreciate you hanging with us tonight. And, of course, anyone who downloads this, we appreciate it. We will get into predictions. We will get into Teddy Hart. We will get into NXT. We will talk a little bit of SmackDown. Honestly, I really only have two things I really want to bring up on SmackDown, whatever you guys got. And then we will get into the New Jack, Dark Side of the Ring.
That's the good, the bad, the really, really bad, and the crazy. So much more.
Yes, we will get into all that tonight. Just wait. So, there we go. I guess, let's start with plugs, I guess. Let me get those out of the way. I almost forgot about those.
Yes.
So hyped up, I almost forgot.
A good plug-in hasn't hurt nobody, right?
No, man, I got so hyped up.
Not a lot of plugging, though, going on with social distancing, I'm assuming. You can't do a lot of plugging and have a safe distance in between, unless you're like fucking Virgil, I guess.
Well, I mean, you know, people still got to sleep together, man. I mean, Jesus Christ, what are you going to do?
You cut the bed in half, old school, like they did on the Brady Bunch. Had the separate beds and
like anybody can
draw the line down the center of the room.
Yeah, people are going to be able to afford beds after this. Yeah, right.
No, somebody put it perfectly on Facebook. We're going to get to a point now with everything going on. DJs are going to go coast to coast. If you was born in a quarantine month, put your motherfucking hands up.
I will tell you, the smartest people out of this whole thing is Popeye started delivering. They're like, yeah, let's keep the violence the fuck out of our store. Very good idea. Very good idea, Popeyes. Just saying.
Popeyes.
But anyway, let's get on with the plugs before.
The plugs, yes.
The plug. Plugs, yes. Shout out, of course, to Wrestling OD, the Wrestling Overdose. Check out Shaking over there. Check out his Patreon. Patreon.com/Wrestling Overdose. And check out all his art, NuclearHeatShop.com. Definitely check him out on ChairShotTees.com. And, ClotheslinedMedia.com. Just go to a bunch of .coms. Shaheen's there. Anyway, check out the High Marks, Cheeseman, Mojo, and G-Wiz. Definitely check out Bobby Anthem, Bobby Blades on the Inhuman Experience. You can check them out on all the usual podcast platforms. And you can also check out the Unscripted Wrestling Podcast on all those same platforms. Definitely check out those guys. That's Eric, Doug, and Daniel over there. And, of course, Stephen Milan. Really appreciate you sharing the show, man. Find him on Letterboxd, boxd.com/Stephen Milan. 2 L's in Milan. And, of course, subscribe, rate, review, follow. You can follow us on Spreaker. You can follow us on YouTube. Definitely start checking out our YouTube. Like to start getting a little more on that. You can get us on Stitcher, iHeartRadio, Spotify, Google Podcasts, TuneIn, Player FM, and anywhere else you can find podcasts. Anthony.
Jason Clark, Bottom Line Pro Wrestling Podcast, available on all fine podcast platforms such as Google Play, Stitcher, iHeart, iTunes, and wherever you listen to fine podcasts. Download, share, subscribe, leave a review. Kind of like us.
Damn, Anthony kept the pep going. I love it.
Yes, you got to, man. You got got a lot of wrestling to look forward to, and nobody wants to. We don't want to be a bunch of Debbie Downers and bootlickers and for the next hour and a half, 2 hours, however long we're on tonight.
Yeah, plus I had one of those little, what was that little Mios, squirt energy things you put in water.
Yeah, is that new?
Not bad.
No, it's not new. It's, again, just so little caffeine gets me. I had probably a bigger sip than I should have, but it's Friday. I know Wednesday I did said I didn't fucking go to sleep until 3 o'clock in the morning. I was tired Thursday morning. Anyway, so there we go on that. Plugs are done. We can finally get into the wrestling.
Yes. Let's start with SmackDown.
Okay. All right. Let's start with SmackDown. Sounds like a plan.
Get that out the way. I mean, like I said, it wasn't a bad show, but man. The no crowd thing, I don't know. Is it starting to wear thin with you guys at this point? Whether it's AEW, it's unique. It's like, Cena put it best at the end of the show. It's trial by fire, learn as you go along. But man, even if it's a troll crowd, at least it's something.
I feel like AEW is at least trying and working with things and trying to shake up every week a little bit, something different. I feel like WWE is just trying to make you think like, hey, don't look over there. Don't look over there. There's no crowd. But it's starting to wear thin. It doesn't matter. Because right now, this is where we're at. I got to be honest with you, dude. Yeah, it is. But this is where we're at. And there's nothing we can do right now until this shit lets up. And it will. You know it will. Everyone knows it will. But we are here.
Who knows? They've already canceled Money in the Bank for May.
Wow. Big letdown.
Well, you know, nah. I'm
just saying though. I mean, literally, you can have one match on Raw, one match on SmackDown. That's the fucking pay-per-view for me. I'm good to go. I mean, I'm just saying. I mean, am I wrong?
You know, Jesus.
I mean,
I know slightly different change of pace since I feel like mommy just yelled at daddy on a car trip. I don't know if anybody else is doing this, but I found myself doing it just on this show. Like, has anybody started, anytime there's like a segment involving more than like 2 or 3 people, has anybody else started like counting how many people are out there? Because I did that all show long for some reason, and I don't know why.
Yeah, honestly, I was just like, is WWE in I found myself using the word protocol. Is this segment in protocol with the recommendations of the CDC? Like,
which, like, even if I ended up counting more than 10, who the fuck am I going to go to about that? Like, A, why would I want to? And B, like, who would I call the snitch? There's not like a snitch hotline set up anywhere.
You would have to tweet it and really be the snitch. At WWE, I counted 11 people. I think you are breaking the law.
Well, it was that story. Now I don't even think they did it, but apparently, somebody started a rumor that WWE called the cops on AEW for their tapings this week.
Fucking cop collars.
I swear, I wanted that to be true so bad. I wanted to believe that Vince's pettiness knows no bounds. I want that to be true so badly. You have no idea.
I'm not.
But you can still keep believing that.
Yeah, I don't even think he knows how to dial 911. But anyway,
it just takes longer because it's one of the rotary dials.
Hey, Elvis Presley didn't know how to use a credit card. You know what I mean? It's just famous people just don't know how to do shit. You know what I mean?
Now,
I will say they did kind of announce, I guess, that they were doing the Dynamite from like an undisclosed location because they didn't want people just randomly showing up trying to get like autographs and shit. So like there is a little bit of like a shady vibe kind of going on where they're just like airing things from like an abandoned bunker somewhere.
Rumor is they are at Cody's school, that school that we talked about a month and a half ago that they got involved with.
Yeah, I want to say it's a gym owned by QT Marshall.
QT, Quick Trip, yes. Yeah,
it's down in Georgia somewhere, so that's where they were this week, Georgia.
Georgia.
Yep. And apparently the cops showed up, and AEW, they had that paperwork in order, so cops couldn't shut them down or anything, but they, apparently the cops stayed on the premises to make sure they followed protocol, to make sure it was like 2 people, 3, it was less than 10 people at a time in the same place. Tremendous.
You know, man, I follow a local a Facebook page from my little town here, and I see people every day. Who do I call if I see a business still open? I don't know. Your husband? I don't know. Your cat. Try your cat sitter. Call them.
God damn, Bob.
There needs to be more, like, everybody started to kind of start doing more charitable efforts. I imagine that there's a lot of, like, assistant managers that have gotten laid off. They need to, like, create a hotline so people like that can still speak to the manager in these trying times. All the Karens out there.
Yeah, and some people, I mean, if you've only got 1 or 2 people in your company, what are you going to do? If you can stay open and you find a way to be essential, do what you got to do, man. I'm sorry.
Now, and I'll wrap it up with this so we can get into SmackDown. So apparently, AEW, they did film a lot of shit this week.
Nice.
So based I guess to cover them at worst, at best for the next couple weeks, at worst for the next couple months. So I guess they're operating kind of like WWE. They're operating under the sense that they could we could be shut down at any time. And even if it's not like a nationwide shutdown, state to state, it's going to be, obviously, if people can't travel, if people can't get from place to place, and different governments in different areas are shutting down, and what are you going to do?
Yeah, man.
I seriously, you can't ask somebody that lives in Baltimore to drive halfway across the country to like Rhode Island, somewhere like that. So you just got to roll with it at this point.
Yeah.
Whatever you got, you can. And I'm just curious about how these contracts are going to work out with the TVs. Because they're not paying for reruns. So it's going to be very interesting once they run out of original content to show.
Yeah.
I mean, that's kind of the problem.
Whoa.
Hey,
whoa, Smark. You just got super extra loud.
All right, better?
A little.
We'll keep going. There's a volume switch.
No, there you go. Right there. You're good. Right there. Go ahead. Go. Please.
Okay, yeah. Well, I mean, I was going to say that's kind of the problem just all over television right now, because there's a lot of shows that have started for spring season that they were in the middle of filming stuff, and they, obviously had to halt production. So that's going to be kind of a problem with all the networks that are airing original content right now.
Yeah, there's going to be, I don't know. It's going to be a lot of companies are going to just lose money because people have contracts, and this isn't in a lot of contracts.
Right.
So, I mean, a statewide lockdown, who the fuck would have expected that? I mean,
yeah.
Who puts that in their contract? Nobody. It will be.
I don't know. I wonder if there's an act of God clause. It has to be, because obviously nobody predicts these type of things to happen, but they do happen once in a lifetime, but they do happen.
Are you saying this is the apocalypse?
Feels like it.
Blue shit gonna come out of the sky?
Yeah. It's like we're all dead, bro. We just don't know it yet.
I anticipated the gritty reboot of the bubonic plague to hit.
Huh. Well, I'm gonna just keep drinking then.
Yep. I like to think that I'm a couple of shots away from seeing a hologram of Hitler doing a Harlem Shake.
Don't know if I've ever done that many shots, but I can sure try. I'm willing to give it a shot. I am. I'm willing. I will say that.
No, but long story short, I have a feeling that folks, you want to enjoy this weekend of original content, WrestleMania, under a different set of circumstances. But I don't know. Got a feeling we're on the verge of getting a break from our precious wrestling. We won't have nothing to bitch about for a little while, looks like.
Well, there's
at
always
least nothing new.
Well, there's always vacations and shit.
Yep. Live. From your bathroom.
Yeah. Live for not this week. Obviously, I'm in a great mood tonight, guys. I don't know if you've noticed or not.
Jesus, we have our own
palpable tension.
You're JR. You're our JR.
God damn it.
I'm
not sure who I am right there.
Now make inappropriate comments about people old enough to be your granddaughter, sir.
Damn, that skirt's damn short, man. Showing her snapdragon there. Hey, Tony. Remember that night we were? Oh, well, hold on. Hey.
I like her to slide my knocker. Oh.
All right. This is the third time now we're trying to get into SmackDown, guys. Great.
Right, SmackDown. Get us on track. SmackDown. Now, what did you guys think about the overall vibe? Because they just basically threw shit out there. They either didn't address obvious changes, like to the ladder match, or they just kind of threw it out there like, hey, Braun Strowman is not Goldberg is now going up against Braun Strowman. No explanation, no reason for the change. After Triple H did an interview stating that we found a unique way to replace Roman Reigns in a match. and we got nothing.
This is unique. You don't think?
You mean like a random announcement? Like, yeah, I know we have been building up for the past month. It's going to be these two guys, but one of those guys, he's just not going to be there. And we're not going to talk about why. I mean, look, I get it. They don't want to go into the specifics, but damn, at least give me something.
Yeah, they really should have showed SmackDown on Wednesday, which would have been April Fool's Day, and then people would have been like, "What happened? Oh, it was just a joke." No, it's not. It's not.
What did you think about that whole layout, Smart? How they addressed it, but not really addressed anything about what's going on?
Now, I watched the show. I honestly, I did. When did they make that announcement?
When they were running through the card, and they basically just said, Michael Cole just said, Goldberg's now going to be defending the Universal title against Braun Strowman. They didn't even. Okay. Reigns wasn't even mentioned. They just threw it out there and just moved on.
That's so unique. That is a great way to write someone out of a storyline. Hey, by the way, that shit just ain't happening. Here we go. Let's move on. Anyway, that's it. That's what they did.
Like I said, I know WWE, they do these things and you just kind of like accept it. But man, that's just like, because it was such a big match and probably more than likely was going to be the close of the show. It's just kind of like, I'm surprised they didn't even come up with a beatdown angle, something to explain why Roman Reigns wasn't going to be involved.
Yep. They got nothing.
Even a tag match. Even Miz out of that whole situation when he's sick.
I thought Miz was out, but looks like I think they're still in.
Yeah, that's the thing, is that there's kind of just a layer of uncertainty going on into everything. Like, they showed the card, but then it's like, well, I heard this person wasn't involved. I heard that person wasn't involved. Who's going to be here? What's it going to look like? I don't feel like, not at least 100% that everyone knows what it is that's going to go on the next 2 nights.
Yeah, well, Miz is still in, and we will definitely find out what's going to happen in the next couple days. But we will definitely get to those predictions sometime tonight.
Yeah, and kudos to Big E for the unique intro this week.
Yes.
Oh, coming from home since there was no city.
No, he was right for the people at home.
It was my highlight of the night too, because he mentioned the phrase "annals of history" and then snickered.
He did.
Hey, look, yeah, I like to think he was just doing it for himself and for the boys.
He did.
Not me.
I laughed too. I forgot about that one. I chuckled also. Honestly, all I really want to get in, there's 2 things I really cared to get into. I don't care about the women's match or any of that crap. What I cared about,
Bailey.
Well, I mean, love watching Bailey.
She was looking good in black. I just want to say she was looking good in black tonight.
Really like watching her walk away. But anyway,
yeah.
The during the Dolph Ziggler had a match with Tucker, and
yes,
after pretty much after the match, we got this little like hacker type thing up on the screen, and it says the truth will be revealed or some shit like that. And we get a little video, and we see that Sonya...
The vindication of my man Otis.
Absolutely. Right. Sonya Deville was the one texting Otis and stuff that night of Valentine's night, and we find out that she talked to Dolph and totally stabbed Mandy in the back. And I don't know, I kind of like that little gimmick. I hope they do that a little more with that. I mean, we all know it's being taped.
Yeah, and honestly, the whole thing, like, that's the one thing that I really feel like bad for. I mean, literally, like, we've talked about it, we've had our jokes about it, but, and I say this in all sincerity, one of the best built storylines in a long ass time in this company, years, has been the Otis and Mandy Rose storyline. And that kind of whatever the payoff's going to be, it needs a crowd behind it. Because clearly that video gave off the vibe that, yeah, Otis is big. It's kind of big. But he look, he had it. He had that shit wrapped up.
Yeah.
Wrapped up. And it was like, whatever they do, Sunday, Saturday, whenever the match airs, it's going to be lacking something, because it feels like they've been building and building and building to this moment where Otis finally gets the girl. And to have it in front of an empty building with no crowd reaction, people going, yeah, I feel like that's the only thing that's going to suck about that match.
every fat
with
guy.
Dolph and Otis.
They'd pan to every fat guy in the audience.
Fuck yeah, I got a chance.
Big smiles on their face, like, yeah.
They're gonna be combing that arena.
I'm gonna try to get me a Mandy.
Hey, look, fuck yeah, he gives us hope.
Good man. But yes, Otis 100% vindicated in this. Great segment, well done. And I don't know, Otis once again can just turn into a beast really quick. So I like that shit. I do like it. But once again, man, Tucker, that guy, for his size, he is impressive in the ring. I got to admit, he doesn't work like a big, heavy, fat guy. He's not that fat. Just doesn't work like a big, heavy mountain guy. He's like a mountain type guy, you know? But
yeah, and I'm actually glad. Yeah, I'm glad they kept them together, because that was like, first off, they're already low on tag teams. Mm-hmm. So I'm glad they didn't do a swerve and had a Tucker be behind the breakup of Mandy and Otis.
Right. Yeah.
Too soon to break. I know Otis is the star of the team right now, but it's too soon to break them up, in my opinion.
No, I wouldn't, because I know Tucker can work, but WWE sometimes cares more about the personality and the charisma than the work rate. I know it's a crazy thing, but they do. Seriously, they do. So I don't know. I would still worry for Tucker when they do break up, but keep them together right now. But I really am loving Otis, this whole segment. Now there's a whole new layer to it that we found out. And once again, I hope they use this little hooded figure with the computers over there. Like, you know, that the hacker terrorist type gimmick, almost like domestic terrorist type gimmick.
Now, who do you guys think it is? Do you think it's CM Punk? Dun, dun, dun.
God, no.
Or do you think it's more like that was a smart ass answer, Bob?
I know.
I'm saying how salty you can get tonight.
So is mine. Yeah.
No. So who do you think it's going to be? Like Killer Cross?
No.
Maybe Ali. Give him something to do.
That would be good, actually, because it comes out with that Ali would be all right, but man, they could really debut somebody with this. Somebody, I don't know.
Yeah, I take that back.
Wanting you to think that it is, because it's got that little like circular, like the thing that almost looks like the thing that Iron Man wears on his chest, but he was coming out before with that like on his hand, where he'd have like the little light up gauntlet or whatever it is.
Right, and if you notice, I don't know if you've noticed over the past 2, maybe 3 weeks, that circle of lights has been coming up, just popping up in the show. Every like once or twice during the show, it'll pop up. So I don't think we've even mentioned that. It just hasn't even crossed my mind. But I've seen it for at least 2 weeks, maybe 3. But yeah, that is kind of the circle that's on Ali's hand. So
I will say the question that comes up to my mind is, how pissed do you think Sammy is right now?
Callahan.
Mm-hmm. Because they're like, well, we just don't think this hacker gimmick's gonna work, and then like a couple years later, boom, here it is.
Yeah, this is different. This is like a
almost look like a modernized version of like that old GTV stuff.
Yeah, exactly what it is. It's like GTV 2020, but you got kind of the stalker type guy with the hood, and he's got the computers there. He's got 2 screens, 2 keyboards, 2 computers, basically. Because only weird people have 2 computers. So I got 2 hooked up right here. But I definitely really cool. Well done. And again, I hope they keep up with that, because that could be a nice little segment for a few weeks to just keep busting people backstage.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Yeah. So I guess we're done with that, right? And the only other segment I really want to talk about was the last segment.
Good, phenomenal segment to end the show. I mean, I'll be honest. Cena, when I know, like, once again, Cena's very polarizing in how people feel about him, but when he wants to turn it on promo wise, god damn, got me hyped up for that match.
Except now he looks like he looks more like Ernest than ever. Number one,
yes,
out there with the
we all get old, we all age, bro.
Hey, I know, but now he just looks look. It's like, Dad, really, you need to change your clothes. You know,
yeah, it does look weird.
You know, Dad, seriously, like my friends are starting to laugh at me.
And it's weird because obviously the guy's still in great shape.
Oh yeah,
but he's not. He's not like jacked because he doesn't wrestle full time anymore. He doesn't have a reason to be like super jacked like he was. So he's just like in that weird space.
No, he's just...
Okay, I have a question.
What?
Which is weirder? The fact that, because Antox brought it up in the chat room, that he referenced the WB frog, or that people know what the name of the WB frog is. Michigan J Frog, as Antox says in the chat room.
Yes, and I did catch that, and I was like, that was such a stupid. Cena always goes corny. He's a corny guy. He is. That's him. I don't think there's anything he can do about it. But listen, like I said, Dad really got to like update your, people are starting to laugh at me, Dad. The lime green in the hat, and the shoe, no, and the jorts, no.
I think the WB hasn't even existed for like 10 years or whatever. It's been CW for quite a while.
Yeah, but I believe that frog is from further back than that, though, isn't it? I mean,
yeah,
because that frog. I mean, that frog is known for more. It's
that racist ass frog been around since the mid 1990s. I remember when the WB first came on the scene, bro. That shit, literally, the only time you saw that goddamn frog was on. They had like a black comp. They had like a block of black shows on the WB. So you got like the Wayans brothers, you got like Jamie Foxx, you got Steve Harvey. That's the only time you saw that goddamn frog. The WB.
Dave Chappelle did a bit about this. It was amazing. He was like, "What? I'm not allowed to make fun of that frog, man. Fuck that frog."
Probably that frog wasn't eating chicken. But he had the top hat on and cane. So I guess that was enough.
I mean, they made fun of that frog in Spaceballs. That was an old movie. I'm just saying. The end of Spaceballs, if you remember. They did. But there was a cartoon frog that was one, and then yeah, Looney Tunes. There you go. Thank you, Antox. That's what it was from. Because I remember that damn frog. I remember that frog. And I'm old.
Dang, you were damn. That's where it came
Frog's
from.
got a lot of heat.
Yeah, that frog does. And jeez. Looney Tunes, you want to talk about racist. Anyway.
Yeah. One day we're going to talk about our favorite Looney Tunes characters, aren't we?
Oh. Yeah.
Believe it or not, I did. Like, it took, because like I said, I was a kid, so I didn't look that deep into it. But when you look back at some of those Looney Tunes and Tom and Jerry, god damn. A lot of racial undertones.
That's more
that I missed as a kid.
I was more Yosemite Sam kind of guy.
See, Dad, sometimes you just gotta take the pussy like Pepe.
All right.
Another Dave Chappelle thing. Don't get mad at me.
Mark is a fan of rapists and skunks.
Right, before we wrap up SmackDown, were either one of you guys a fan of Animaniacs or Tiny Toon Adventures?
No. I was too old by then.
Kind of. I didn't become a fan of Animaniacs until I was older, but I watched Tiny Toon Adventures all the time when I was a kid. They even had that Genesis game where it's like a bunch of little sports mini games, basketball, soccer, things like that. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah. No.
That was the shit. Tiny Toons was the shit. Yeah. But I'm surprised by because they were geared towards kids, but the humor was more for adults.
Yeah. What years were those?
Like early to mid 90s.
Yeah, I was those were high school years. I don't remember what I was doing, put it that way. But I certainly wasn't sitting at home watching cartoons. Let's just leave it at that. But the main thing I really took out of this was the end. Cena sitting there, finally gets done with his promo. Finally, the lights start going off slowly. the Fiend appears up on the balcony, and out of nowhere, and I got to admit, dude, I was like, whoa. It kind of freaked me out when Bray Wyatt shows up behind John Cena. Let me in. This is the shit they have a chance to do right now with no crowd and filming stuff. This is the stuff that they're going to have a chance to do. God, I hope they capitalize on it and realize and we said this a couple of weeks ago, the opportunity they have to basically, like Vince just said in Beyond the Mat, they can make movies right now.
WrestleMania, the movie. Oh. This is, I mean, honestly, I don't know, Pox, did you pick up on the little background music they had during that segment?
Mm-hmm.
It was like that eerie type, almost like music you would hear like a horror movie.
Yeah.
It was fucking great.
Yeah, man. I mean, I really never thought I'd be sitting here saying how great a John Cena segment was, but, you know, good promo. He wasn't out there screaming, yelling. You know, he didn't have a black scent or a Latinent, whatever. He was just going out there as John Cena. And the end of it, though, just really made it. It wrapped it up. It wrapped it up very nicely. And like I said, man, I jumped a little bit when I saw Bray. I was like, oh.
And honestly, like, man, like, first time in a long time, like, but Cena actually sold, dare I say, concern.
Yes.
And like I said, maybe it's because he's not going to be around or he's not around as much, but man, he showed like legitimate, like, he actually sold the Fiend as a legitimate threat.
Maybe he was really scared. Did you ever think about that, Anthony?
Oh.
Huh? Maybe he was scared for real. Like I said, man, it made me jump. That's good, though. But like I said, I believe they have a nice little opportunity here to make some movies. They don't have to be corny. You don't have to go all out. You don't have to be sitting there like a, green screen and shit. But you've got the opportunity to do some effects that you can't do with the live crowd with people in the audience that will come off a lot better right now.
Now, this might be a little goofy, but hear me out on this one. Do you think, given the circumstances, and even apply this to whatever they have taped for Raw, SmackDown, et cetera, do you think the use of a laugh track or like an audience background noise would work?
No, that's too corny.
Yeah.
Too corny.
Even as like an ambient noise, just something like add something to the broadcast where you can at least hear some type of noise?
No, please no. God, no. No, just no. Please.
I am a little bit surprised that no heels come out because they used to have, I don't know if they still have them, but with cell phones, and you can download an app for your cell phone or whatever, you could make it so that they have those little, you press the button and a sound effect plays. I'm surprised nobody's come out and done that because that definitely seems like something like Jericho would do. Would you just say somebody's name and then you press a button and there'd be boos, things like that?
Just shove it in the microphone. That is something Jericho would do. Absolutely. And by the way, they did show the Shawn Michaels and Ric Flair, which was Flair's last match in WWE. I forget what Mania that was. I'm sure Anthony knows.
24.
Thank you, sir. They did show that match.
Yeah.
What do you?
I'll be honest. I cried for two reasons. One, it was an emotional match. Not the night. I'm talking about in the moment that I saw it.
Oh, okay.
In the moment, because you gotta admit, come on, I'm surprised. Look, you're a Flair fan. I know you were fucking emotional, bro. Because it was the greatest send off of any wrestler ever. And then then TNA happened. I'm like, man,
never for a minute did I think he was not gonna wrestle again. No.
But I'm just saying, this was his last. I try to block out the TNA run because this was Ric Flair's last truly great Ric Flair match.
Right.
No gimmicks, no bells, no whistles, and it's literally Shawn Michaels carried him to the best possible match that he was capable of having at that point. And to Flair's credit, he held up his end. Yeah, he came off the top rope. He made it.
Mm-hmm.
First successful jump off the top rope since 1983. He made it.
Had to do it, man.
But I'm just saying, to go out on that type of note, then the next night on Raw, you had people fucking out, grown ass men out there crying, testimonials. Like, you had the Undertaker at the height of the Undertaker gimmick, break character to show his respect, and to go to TNA and undo all of that shit. I mean, I don't know, man. That just rubbed me the wrong way. Like, that was just.
Well, I'm sure every phone call on his phone was from the IRS.
But come on, Box. Come on, Flair's from your era. That didn't bother you a little bit?
The TNA
like
run?
To kind of undo all that, like to undo all of that goodwill at that.
I wasn't surprised though. I was not surprised to see him show up in TNA, and when he said he was going to wrestle, I was like, I saw that coming. It didn't surprise me. It was sad. I didn't want to watch it, but it didn't surprise me one bit.
Because you look at some of those TNA performances, bleeding all over the place and getting slammed in tacks, and it was just, to me, it was just beneath the legacy of a guy like Ric Flair. It felt like look, I know checks got to clear, but goddamn, if I remember, didn't he like walk away from like an ambassador gig the WWE wanted to give him?
I think so, because he wanted to come wrestle again, and I mean,
I guess he said he made more money wrestling and being like an ambassador, going from like town to town, doing autograph. But I'm just like, not looking too bad now, is it? Just saying.
Yeah. Now I did bring up Ric Flair to bring up a little story here. He was on Busted Open a couple of days ago, might have been yesterday actually, and said that Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, Danny Garcia, and Hiram Garcia are going to collaborate and work on a movie about Ric Flair's life with WWE Studios and Sue Levinson, who is the head of WWE Studios over there. So it looks like The Rock may be doing a movie about Flair. Flair said it, so take that with a grain of lies.
Look, Rock did a movie on fucking Paige.
He did.
I mean, and let's be honest. I mean, Paige, Ric Flair, Paige, and there's a lot. I mean, there's a lot to get into. A lot of layers to a Ric Flair movie.
But what would they? It worries.
Yeah,
me.
but I mean, I hate to be the person that brings it to this point, but in order to tell an actual story based on truth, you would have to include some things in there that flew back then that might not fly now. So I feel like there's going to be a lot of omissions, a lot of things that are tweaked. Not that that's any big thing that hasn't happened a million times in any type of biopic in the past.
Right.
There's a lot of stuff that you have to augment.
It'll be extremely sanitized to keep up with the times. Yeah. I mean, this will be. Listen, we all know Flair hasn't done many movie spots, any at all, really. Was on Baywatch once in 1996. We all saw that, but that's really it. And obviously the 30 for 30 documentary, but I would.
Yeah, but even something like that, that's a little different documentary.
Mm-hmm.
Because whenever you see Flair in those type of settings, especially when he's talking about his exploits, he always gets a twinkle in his eye. Like, yeah, I know some of the shit I did was fucked up, but I had a lot of fun doing it. Like, literally, like, like, I was married, but I didn't want to be home, so I was always on the road. Like, come on. Like, Flair being Flair, and it's like, I guess to wrestle, depending on what type of wrestling fan you are, some of that can come across as charming, but to a mainstream audience, especially Rock is very cognizant of his reputation and his name.
Mm-hmm.
So as much as I kind of like, you guys are kind of swaying me, as much as I would want to see a Ric Flair biopic, I do think it would be very much sanitized.
Especially
they would tone down certain aspects.
Well, especially if it's a WWE film, it's gonna be all the happy time. It'll basically be one of those DVDs that we can go get right now. I mean, just go buy one of the Ric Flair DVD or the Four Horsemen DVD. Just go buy one of those.
But like, if you really stop and think about it, even from a kayfabe standpoint, look at Flair's gimmick. Ladies' man, style, profile. how can you sanitize that and make it, and like still tell his story with any type of entertainment value?
I don't know, man.
Like,
I don't know.
I mean, it'd be interesting to see him try, but maybe get the people that's behind that Vince McMahon documentary that may or may not see the light of day.
Yeah. I no, that won't be caught up in lawsuits until until no one gives a shit anymore. All right, so that was it. What else we got after that? But yeah, so hopefully Flair is gonna do a little film. We'll find out soon enough. What else we got here, guys?
Did any of you guys catch John Cena on Corey Grace podcast After the Bell this week?
No.
Yeah.
I didn't listen to the broadcast. I just listened to like little snippet, and it basically came up about the next star in WWE, like, and Cena basically was saying how, how like every era has like its signature star that everything is kind of based around, and everybody kind of follows suit, and like you had like the Hogan era, Brett and Shawn, they kind of defined the new generation. And then you had the Attitude Era, which was defined by like Stone Cold, DX, Rock, and all that type of thing. And this era is kind of like, And he basically kind of put it on the fans. He put the onus on the fans.
Right.
So basically, like, if you have a guy that's hot, they like last week, but if the fans get behind them, or if the company gets behind them, then it's almost like, don't tell us who to cheer. Even if you liked the guy last week, he's seen it with a lot of guys. He didn't name drop people specifically, but obviously he's talking about guys like Seth Rollins, guys like Daniel Bryan, guys like Punk, who had like a strong following from the independents, but once they kind of got elevated to that top spot, all of a sudden fans started to turn on them because I guess they felt like the company was force feeding them. So what do you think about that concept? What do you think? Do you put the onus on the company, or do you put it on the fans? Because I can see both sides.
Yeah, but you can't put much on the fans. The fans, I mean, all we do is, I'm sorry, Smart, all we do is swallow what they give us, to be honest with you. That's it. We just swallow what they give us, and WWE, unfortunately, gives us not great fucking shit. So I would put it more on the company than anything. Definitely. And I hate to say, but I mean, he's basically saying that there are no stars right now.
Yeah, I'm trying to find the clip that I can clip and send you. We can play it, but that was basically the gist of it. And it's like, I wonder.
That's kind of his fault too.
Well, he kind of like, I think that was kind of hypocritical on his end to say that, because he was kind of force fed. He was kind of force fed down our throats to the point where people begrudgingly started to accept him, because it was just like, after about 10 years, I feel like by the time we got to about year 7 or 8, a John Cena on top, people just kind of like resigned themselves to the fact that, they kind of gave up, and it became like a term of endearment. Let's go, Cena. Cena sucks. But there was legitimate hatred of him for a long time.
They beat us in a submission. It's exactly what they did. They just beat us in a submission. We're like, fine, we'll fucking cheer the guy. Just leave me alone. Yay.
So I guess in your case, absence doesn't make the heart grow fonder. It doesn't matter how long he's gone. You still like, Cena.
It's still John Cena. Anyway.
Smart, what do you got on that?
Yeah, please.
I mean, the thing is that, like, I have a really hard time taking anything he says seriously. Because, like, as the old expression goes, checks got to clear. Because it's like, it is what it is. He is a representative of a company, and he is towing that company line. And I have a really hard time taking anything he says seriously. Because before, the argument was, but they're not reaching for the brass ring. And then it becomes, they reach for the brass ring, but then those fickle fans, they stop cheering for them. It's the company's job to market to the people, to lead them and encourage them to chant for the talent. If they're not doing that, then the fans aren't the only people to blame there.
You know that commercial where the where the old guy has the fishing rod with the dollar bill, and he's pulling it away from the lady trying to grab it. That's the brass ring in WWE, and Vince is the guy just going, "Come on, you can get it." Oh, you almost had it. All right, come on. Oh, no, missed it again. Come on, man. How many people have tried to grab that brass ring and they have slapped them down? How many?
And besides, like, he doesn't mention the fact that there are a countless number of people that the fans got behind that they just did nothing with. Mm-hmm. And B, I just don't think that we're in an era anymore where you can rely on somebody to be the guy for 5 years, 10 years, you know. I think regardless of who that person is, if the same person is in the same position on top over and over again, week in, week out, year in, year out, people are just going to get tired of it. That's the way that we are as a society nowadays.
Yeah, and I mean, like I just said, we've had so many people, though, try to grab that brass ring, and it gets pulled away from them. Listen, not that it would have been a very long run, but they had a real big thing with Zack Ryder a few years ago. They did. He got himself over despite WWE, and the crowd was loving it, and they fucked him over. Rusev, another case right there. Dolph Ziggler's been trying to grab that brass ring for fucking years and years and years. And I mean, Cesaro has tried to grab that brass ring, pulled away from him. I mean, every guy that tries, it's like, eventually other guys have to look at that and go, why bother?
And it's bizarre because, look, I get it. They want the brand. They want the brand to be above everything else because they don't want another situation where a guy like Hogan gets too big for their britches to the point where they don't need that brand anymore. Because, you know, certain guys got so big that they literally could step outside of WWE and do whatever they wanted. Mm-hmm. Rock is, look at The Rock. I feel like he's the best modern day example that we have. Right. He got so hot that he could just keep on walking. He doesn't need WWE ever again. And I guess like they don't want, so I get that. They want it to be about the brand. But when you look at some of these guys like Dolph Ziggler, Rusev, Cesaro, all due respect, they might be big within the wrestling community, but they're not going to go beyond that. Mm-hmm. So I don't see why not let them run with the ball. I don't see Cesaro getting all kinds of movie roles and television roles. I don't see Hollywood blowing his phone up. So I don't see why you can't let him get as big as he can get in the wrestling realm of things. Because I don't see him as a guy that's going to go anywhere.
Because it's not in their plans. And God forbid anyone get over that's not in their plans. They're going to just kill you. I mean, you know, the old adage is they would just put you against John Cena. Cena would beat you in seconds, and they would just put you to the back of the fucking bus. And that's not where the cool kids sit in WWE. So that's pretty much what they would do at that point. That's exactly what they would do. So I don't know, man. I feel, like I said, eventually a lot of guys got to look at that and go, why bother? I'd rather just fucking cash my checks. That's all I'm saying. Bad motivator when you can't, when there's really nothing to grab for, nothing to go get, nothing to go after, because they've got their guys. So, I don't know, man. Must be pretty depressing. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, damn, Boxer. He broke that down. Like, you made every 9 to 5 ham and egger feel like a piece of shit with that little breakdown, Box. Like, are we still talking about wrestling? Like,
well, I'm just. I am a 9 to 5 ham and egger. I'm a fucking 8 to 5 ham and egger. Actually, it's even worse. But actually, had ham. Actually had ham for dinner tonight.
Nice.
It was very good. Very good. Ham and beans. I added the beans, but little baked beans, little ham. There we go. But anyway, no one cares what I had for dinner. Anthony, you want to talk a little bit? I appreciate. But maybe
I'm glad you approve of my work rate or lack thereof.
I did make a promise on Wednesday that I would watch this main event at minimum, and I did that.
Yes. I watched the whole show, but we can just talk about the main event.
Sure.
I gotta say, man, First off, the main event was for the North American title.
Mm-hmm.
Keith Lee defending against old-time rival Dominik Dijakovic and Damian Priest.
Yeah.
Now, the work in the match was, as usual, given these three, fantastic, but the lack of crowd kind of took it away. It kind of took the match down a notch. Because the work rate was there, the effort was there, but it was just like, without that pop, it lost something. I don't know if you'll agree with that, Box.
I definitely agree, especially when Keith Lee was doing some of his bigger moves.
Yes. The highlight being he literally beat a motherfucker with a motherfucker. A lot of people talk that shit. Keith Lee is out here living it.
He did. And after that, though, he kept Damian Priest up and did these power bombs on top of Dominik Dijakovic, like 4 or 5 of them. And each one looked worse than the other. I got it. And I'll tell you what, with a crowd pushing him, that might have changed because he would have been able to time it better. It just didn't look good at all. And the other spot they did where they were all up on the ropes, and then they put him in Dijakovic and Priest put Keith Lee in a choke slam and threw him off the top rope. Very bad spot. At one point, you saw Keith Lee literally wave Damian Priest up there like, come on. And I was like, who didn't catch that in editing?
Yeah.
Yeah,
but like I said, it was a good match hampered by, like I said, through no fault of their own.
No.
Even a company's own. It's just circumstantial, but I feel like this was probably like exhibit A of why you need to kind of take a step back and take some time off. Just because, especially with the way these guys work, because they were working like it was a crowd there. Like this was like a takeover. And by the way, nice touch of having the takeover logo on the screen there.
Yeah, in the background. I noticed that over there on the Titantron. That was nice.
Obviously. Yeah, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, I just said that was nice touch.
Yeah, so Keith Lee retained. Next week, you get the Rebel Heart and the Black Heart, the final beat. That's Gargano and Tommaso Ciampa.
Yes.
Who they did. Yeah, I'm sorry, I had a mental block there. They did a fantastic video package on the feud.
Nice.
Early in the night. Like literally covered like the whole, like from the DIY days to the breakup to them tearing up the Performance Center about 2-3 weeks ago to Triple H saying this is going to be their final encounter after this is over. What do you think that match is going to be like? I mean, I'm looking forward to it, but what do you think you think they were able to produce some magic with no crowd? Because those two more than anybody.
Smart. I have something to do real quick.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, babe.
Well,
bottoms up.
Salute.
Oh, it's warm. Hey.
Of course, if you have liquor at home, we encourage you to take a shot now as well.
Yeah, just make sure you stay your ass in the house. Don't go out. Follow your curfew laws, wherever you're at.
Oh, I ain't got nowhere to go. I'm right here, getting drunk with you guys, having a good time. Woo! What was the question, Anthony?
So basically, how do you guys? I mean, obviously, the Gargano Tommaso Ciampa feud has been legendary, not just in NXT. I feel like in WWE as a whole, really has been. Mm-hmm. How do you think if this is going to be their swan song? Which has always been, it always seems like whenever they get to a point of finality, it's always something that fucks it up. Either an injury or in this case, a government shutdown. Something always gets in the way. But they're finally going to have their final match. How do you think it's going to come across without a crowd? Do you think they'll be able to create that magic that they always seem to be able to create without a crowd? Because it seems like more than anything, when they have these matches, they feed off the crowd more than anything.
Go ahead, Smart.
Well, I mean, with NXT just in general, that is a large part of the appeal. Like, the matches are still good, don't get me wrong. The work rate or what have you, the actual match quality is nice. It's really good. But you get a little bit of an extra benefit of being able to, Box called them, and I don't disagree, he's called them sheep before, but you can always rely on them to consistently be into the match, and that always does make it feel more enjoyable, make it feel more important. So it's going to be a bit harder for them to really put kind of exclamation point on it if this is in fact the final time that they're going to wrestle each other, which it's wrestling. We'll probably see them wrestle at least 8 more times at some point, but I think, be that as it may, if we do just go ahead and buy into the fact that it is going to be the last one, I think it's going to be good, and I think that they have the talent to make it feel special and important and final. But there is going to be, and it's through no fault of them, and you are going to lose a little bit of that when you don't have the fans there because, like I said, the NXT fans are pivotal to that whole experience as a whole, regardless of who's in the ring. But all in all, I would say of like WrestleMania and the matches, the NXT matches that are supposed to be coming up the next week or so, that's probably one of the ones I'm looking the most forward to because they do have that history that they can fall back on.
Yeah, they do. I think both those guys definitely have the talent to get that done. And I do call the crowd sheep. I don't always mean it as a negative. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. Listen, either way, it's a good crowd. It's a usual crowd. They know the characters. They know what to chant. They know when to chant. And yeah, I'm sure that does help a lot of the guys in the ring too. When the crowd's doing their thing, they know what to do how to pop the crowd that they know. But even without the crowd, I think Gargano, Ciampa, I think they've got a very special chemistry. And the last time they were just brawling, they went all over the place. So they're probably going to do something similar to that. They will think of something to make that match memorable and make their final feud definitely something that we're going to remember for a long time.
I will say that I think they can more than hold their own, and they're definitely going to produce some magic. It's going to be different, I'm sure, obviously, but they'll put together a good match. And quickie prediction, I think Ciampa takes it. What about you guys?
Last one ever. I think they might give it to Gargano, the younger of the two. I don't know. I think it might go to Gargano. I'm going to say Gargano.
Yeah, I'll go Ciampa.
All right.
Just because I believe he's the face in this situation, and usually the face is the one that gets the win in the send-off match.
All right. I guess we'll find out then. We'll come back. Stay tuned. We will come back to that when it happens. All right. So what else we got on NXT here? I really didn't watch anymore. So and Smart didn't watch any. So that's all we got on NXT.
Yeah. Oh, next week they're going to have a ladder match to determine the new number one contender for the NXT Women's title. They did like a gauntlet match, like a last chance match.
Huh.
Shotzi Blackheart literally eliminated like the first 4 people, and it got eliminated by Tegan Nox. So Tegan Nox was the last participant. The participants are going to be Tegan Nox, Dakota Kai. I'm sorry, Dakota Kai was the one that won the match. Yeah,
all right.
Yeah, Dakota Kai was the one. So you got Dakota Kai, you got Tegan Nox, you got Candice LeRae, Chelsea Green, Antox. Help me out with the last 2.
Mia Yim? I did see that match because that was a couple weeks ago. But
Io Shirai is what they're saying. There we go. Io Shirai. So there we go. All right, one more little ladder match there. That's nice. I like that. So,
out of those 6, who you got?
Oh.
It's for number one contenders.
Probably Dakota Kai.
You think so?
Either Dakota. I would say it's between Dakota and Io Shirai. So I'm going to go Dakota Kai. Yeah.
My sentimental. You're probably right. Unfortunately, with Dakota Kai, my emotional favorite is going to be Io Shirai.
All right.
I love Io. I want her to win.
All right, there you go. There you go. Smart, what do you think there? All right. Don't know what Smart's thinking, but we'll maybe ask him afterwards. I got a little news story. Earlier in the week, as of Monday, actually. Smart left and came right back. There's Smart. Smart, you there?
I hope so.
Oh, yes, you are. I got you. There you go. All right, so those 6 that he said before I get into this little story, do you got a winner on that one?
Just for shits and giggles, I have no real foundation logic behind it. I'll just go Chelsea Green. She's new. They seem to like pushing her. Hopefully, she's talented enough, so hopefully she, goes ahead and picks up the win there.
There's a left field pick. All right, very nice. So anyway, there we go. Off we go to this little news story I got here. WWE always getting in trouble, always involved in a lawsuit here and a lawsuit there. A New York attorney, the law offices of Vincent Wong, has announced a class action lawsuit on behalf of certain shareholders in 3 different companies. Obviously, WWE is one of them. The other 2 I'll just throw out there is Beyond Meat, yes, that company, and Alien Technology, which is a Chinese, which is very big in the Chinese market on importing and consumer goods on the Chinese side. So 3 companies. WWE is one of them also. Listen to this allegation, though. This is why I brought this up. Allegations against WWE include that the defendants perpetrated a fraudulent scheme which deceived the investing public regarding WWE's business and prospects, artificially inflated the price of WWE Class A common stock, permitted certain senior executives of WWE to sell more than $282 million worth of their personally held shares at fraud-inflated prices, and caused the public to purchase WWE Class A common stock at artificially inflated prices. Now, this is from February 7th of 2019 to February 5th of 2020. Now, what they are alleging, if you really read it, they're alleging some. Now, that was when WWE stock was on fire. You guys remember all this? We mentioned it a few times. We talked about it. Stock was
I remember
on,
a little bit of it, yeah.
They're basically accusing them of some Wolf of Wall Street shit. Getting in, getting friends to pump up, and then bailing before the fucking ceiling fell out. Insider trading is exactly what they're basically saying in some very, very fancy words here. And again, I am no stock market genius. I'm sure I'm missing a few points of this. I guarantee I am. Like, I don't know what a Class A common stock is. I could have looked that up, but I'm not here to sound smart. I'm just here to tell you what I'm reading here, and what I know. Man, this isn't good at all. Stockholders, public, this is bad, dude. I don't know who they would blame for this, but I don't know. We will see what happens with this. They have till May 5th, 2020 to answer this little thing going on, and I guess we'll see what happens. But what do y'all think of that?
Wow, shady shit in the wrestling business. Who would have thunk it?
Yeah, and by the way, but before anyone says, "What are you getting this off some weird?" This is right off Yahoo Finance. Just want everyone to know, I'm not getting this off of fucking WrestlingStockShares.com or anything.
You mean it's not from Ringside News or Slice Wrestling?
I don't even pull up Ringside News. I think my computer would fucking die. No, this is straight out of Yahoo Finance, which you can take it how you want it. But go ahead.
I mean, look. We can all look. Obviously, WWE have a very shady past. Vince has a lot of fucking skeletons in the closet, but I don't think even that company's dumb enough to fuck around with Wall Street. Fuck around with, and you know what I mean? I just don't see it.
I'm thinking this is some people that lost big money,
and they're looking for scapegoats,
or sold too soon, something like that. One of the two. And looking for something. Now, if that's not true and this actually goes through, this could be very bad for WWE. This could actually hurt their IPO. Really could hurt their IPO. So, well, not their IPO. They are a public company already, so it could just hurt them worse. Right now their stock is in the fucking toilet. Let me see here. If I go back up here, today their stock is way down. Let's see. Alien Technology, the first company, their stock last price as of today was $154.20 as of close. Beyond Meat, $59.21. WWE is at $34.13. So, I don't know. Some people buy the dips. So if you feel like being a WWE stockholder, you can buy a share pretty cheap. Have fun with that. Have fun with that. All right, guys, we are actually, once we started getting into shit, we actually started rolling through it pretty good. Do we want to talk Teddy or New Jack? It's like, one train wreck or the other train wreck. Which one do you want to talk about?
Let me see. I would say, let's start with New Jack, because it feels like with the Teddy stuff, it's a lot of meat on that bone, a lot to break down and digest. Especially if we get into some of the videos that have been released since. Yeah.
I do have that one Maria one, but I don't know how much of it I want to actually play. But all right, so I guess we'll talk about Dark Side of the Ring, New Jack. I believe it was the Life and Crimes of New Jack is what they called it.
Yes,
they could have just called it the Crimes of New Jack. Could have left out the life. So let's start with overall, in my opinion.
Yes, because I'm fascinated, Box. What are your thoughts on this one?
This really made New Jack look like a fucking piece of shit,
and that was my problem with it. Yes,
and
because I feel like they omitted some things, and the way they play, you know what I mean? Because they really omitted some things.
Listen, I'm not going to sit here and try to defend New Jack, say he's a great guy, but I think this made him look worse than he really is. He didn't, I'm again not going to sit here and say New Jack's a nice guy. This guy stabbed a guy in the ring. He admitted to basically wanting to kill Vic Grimes. He's done some fucked up shit. But I think this just made him look like a real trashy guy. Like he didn't belong. Like literally at the end of this, you're like, I've heard all these stories. I've every one of these stories, a little bit about his early life, I honestly hadn't heard, but all the stories in the ring we've heard, we've talked about almost every one of them before. And we've seen, stuff on him and everything. I just think this one made New Jack look like a piece of fucking garbage. And I really, like I said, I know he's not a nice guy. I know he's one of those guys you just don't fuck with, grew up fucked up, had to toughen the fuck up, stayed that way. And there's nothing you can do about it. He is who he is. But I don't think he's the guy that they showed on this video. Completely. I think they did some heavy editing. Again, he was having fun talking about snorting cocaine and trying to kill motherfuckers. But, man, looked awful in this video. Just looked like they just made him look like a piece of shit that never should have been in the wrestling business. And Jim Cornette didn't help that at all, by the way. He fucking basically said it. So,
yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, then Jim Cornette didn't come across well on this at all. And from the standpoint of when they got into like the Smoky Mountain stuff, where he basically, and look, I want to preface this by saying I do not think Jim Cornette's a racist. But when you kind of paint the picture that, New Jack, I want you to go out there and piss off a bunch of white people. Okay. And, he basically exploited, he exploited like a very, the racial tensions in the area that he grew up in, basically.
He did.
And, basically, I feel like that angle with the gangsters in Smoky Mountain, it was cutting edge for the time. But the problem is, it was for the wrong area. It was for the wrong market. I feel like if it was in a more culturally diverse area like a Philadelphia, New York, it would have came across better. But when you're in an area of the country where they clearly don't like black people, and then you basically have a black person encouraging it kind of like you're feeding into a lot of racial tension, because they were hoping that, okay, the white people would come to see the black people get their comeuppance. But then it went right. It went like, if you don't like to watch black people, guess what? You're not going to pay to support that company. So the gangsters, as much as it's kind of like they like to paint the picture that they drew a lot of money in Smoky Mountain, they really didn't.
No. But I don't know, Smart. What was your overall of it? And then we'll kind of get into a few of the little points of the film, or the documentary. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, well, I will say, I guess first off, right off the bat, New Jack has been promoting this on his Facebook before it aired, and then even after it aired.
Right.
And he has not once kind of gone on there and been like, they twisted things, they lied, they misconstrued what I was saying. So he has not reviewed anything that they've said. So, I mean, take that for what it's worth. I don't really think they made him out to be any worse than anything that I've already heard about. Like, I mean, I know you guys disagree, but I mean, I've already heard the story. So I guess the fact that I have already heard the stories multiple times kind of makes it less impactful, at least for me. But it seemed like if anything, everything that he was, all the big incidents, there was a catalyst or a reason why it happened. Because they went into detail that he had a rough upbringing growing up. Then the mass transit thing, they did say that, the guy he was young and he broke several taboos or made several faux pas that you're not supposed to make. And he ended up paying for it. The same with the Red. I forget what his full name was, but the Red guy.
Hunter Red.
No.
Hunter Red, yeah, thank you. They made him out to seem like he didn't really know what he was doing, and he kind of got punished for that. And then the Gypsy Joe thing was just kind of a misunderstanding, is what they painted it out to be. Yeah. The only thing that I really kind of raised my eyebrow at is hearing all three of them in the order in a short amount of time. This is probably going to be kind of a controversial area, but do you think, and this is just a question, do you think that all of them actually did call him the N-word? Because it seemed like that was his excuse for almost all of them, was that Eric's dad called him the N-word. And then people, I saw the Gypsy Joe match. I heard the audio. They did do that. He was 100% right. I did hear them call him the N-word, the people in the crowd. But then the last incident that I talked about with the Florida promotion, they said that was what was happening too. And it just seemed like every story, like it seems like the way that it made it out to be, like it seemed like just everybody was calling him the N-word. He was just retaliating all the time. It just didn't necessarily seem like that would always be the case. Like I could believe 75% of the time, but like 100% of the time, that seems kind of high.
No, I just think that it was all like, and once again, I'm not saying that New Jack's reaction to things were the best course of action, but the vibe that I got from the whole broadcast is they basically made it seem like he was just like this out of control maniac that really didn't belong in wrestling.
Right.
And they didn't get into the specifics of why these things happen. Like, for example, the mass transit deal. Rob Feinstein, like an idiot, sold that tape at one time, and I have a copy of it. They basically just show you the part where he basically sliced the kid from ear to ear. Mm-hmm. He literally tried to nick him. He literally tried, not saying it was right. He tried to stab him twice before he got the blood. So he just finally said, fuck it, and sliced him. Now, the code of conduct in wrestling is, and Jim Cornette even said this on the air, as long as two guys agree to something, whatever happens in the ring happens. And everybody to a person has always said, the kid came up to New Jack and said, I want you to cut me. I want to look good in front of my family. Can you help me? I never did it before. And New Jack said, you don't want me to cut you? Yes, I do. I've never done it before. So technically, they agreed to it before they went out there. Okay. They didn't agree. They didn't set up how they were going to do it, but they agreed to it. Okay. Once again, I'm sorry. Go ahead,
I got to stop you. I get that, and I get that the kid was real young and real green, but part of wrestling is trusting the guy you work with.
Well, honestly, if you want to put the heat on anybody for that, there's a lot of blame to go around with mass trans.
Yeah.
First and foremost, I put the blame on the father and that fucking midget, that Tiny Tim, whatever his name was. That carny.
I would love to talk about him in a minute.
Yeah, please, can we? Because he was a piece of shit. I'm sorry. He was a piece of shit. I mean, and honestly, like I said, for everybody that wants to say that kid should not have been put in that position to begin with.
No.
He should not have been put. The kid's father, number one, should not have agreed to. Like I said, he falsified his information. Now, granted, there should have been a better vetting process. Like, hey, do you have some ID? He said he was trained by Killer Kowalski.
Right.
Apparently, I think Killer might have been there that night. Did anybody think to talk to Kowalski? Did you train this kid? No. That could have cut out a lot of shit right there.
True.
But I mean, I'm just saying that there's a lot of. I don't think all the blame should fall on New Jack for this situation. I'm sorry. Everybody likes to put it on him, and yeah, he's the one that did the deed. But the kid should not have been allowed to get that far to begin with. And that shit starts with his father.
And
I'm sorry.
You're right. And the one that really bothered me, though, was the Vic Grimes thing over something that, listen, I get it. He cracked your skull. You want to give him a shot. He basically premeditated going out there and trying to kill this guy. With first
DJ,
of all,
I can't feel my legs. Don't worry, you won't need them.
Yeah. First of all,
I'm sorry,
first of all, a guy that big you hit with a taser could easily die of a heart attack. By the way, especially as long as he tased his ass. Listen, that was just fucked up. And then comes down and says, now we're even. Yeah, I accidentally, it was not.
No, it was no. Once again,
he got scared and didn't do it. And I know D'Lo's out there trying to defend. Oh well, that's one of Jack's rules. Oh, he's got rules. I'm sure the other guy had a rule too. If I say no, don't. Jesus Christ, he got me too. He got me too'd by New Jack. He said no, and New Jack said fuck you.
But I'm just saying that. But understand this. But that literally on live pay-per-view having this conversation. I mean, I get it, but like I said, like I said, once again, I'm not saying his reaction was the best reaction, but when you look at what triggered it, and to follow it up, he didn't reach out to him while he was in the hospital. I feel like that might have set him off a little bit more. Like shit happens in wrestling, but when you don't reach out to the guy, it's no different than Steve Austin and Owen Hart. Owen Hart went to his grave, never clearing shit up with Steve Austin. And you can kind of hear it to this day, whenever he talks. He's respectful in how he talks about Owen, but you get the vibe that they never cleared the air about what happened with the neck thing.
Right, but
I mean, it's the same type deal. Like that's like etiquette. That's general etiquette, much less wrestling etiquette. Reaching out to people when you hurt them.
Yeah, but two wrongs don't make a right. You can't
if
do
you knew
that.
Jack.
Yeah, and I mean, you hold a grudge for Jesus Christ. Walk back before the show and talk to the guy. Tell him how you feel. Kick his ass if you want to. And then go out there and have a fucking match without trying to kill the motherfucker on live television.
But let's back up for a minute. None of us really know a whole lot about New Jack's upbringing. We all heard the mass transits, the Vic Grimes, the Gypsy Joe. But let's kind of talk. Let's break this down. Let's talk about how he his upbringing. Okay. That shit fucking with his mom.
Uh-huh.
You 5-6 years old. You see your mom get stabbed almost to death by your father.
5
shot
times.
Yeah. I compare that to almost like a Scott Hall situation where he never got the therapy that he needed for that. And the fact you factor in that he was still a young kid. At least Scott Hall was a grown ass man. New Jack was a kid.
Right.
And he was born in I think he was born like the 60s. And not to make this a racial thing, but especially during that time, this wasn't during the time period where black folks were in the therapy. Mm-hmm. We basically self-medicated. We dealt with it. And New Jack came from that era where you didn't go to therapy. You didn't talk about your problems. You just sucked it up and you toughed it up. Mm-hmm. And that's something let's be honest, he should have probably got some therapy for. And he got involved in an industry, a violent industry. And he found a way to work off aggression. And he's one of those guys when you haven't necessarily you haven't developed good coping mechanisms growing up, because obviously he didn't grow up in the most stable of households. Those were his coping mechanisms. And by all accounts, if New Jack likes you, and this is one part I do feel like they did get across well. If New Jack likes you, he'll treat you like gold. But if you cross him, that's where it becomes an issue.
Okay, so he's like the gangster Andre.
Basically, if he it's clearly if he feels like you wronged him or you're disrespecting him, you get dealt with. Like I said, would I necessarily do it the way he did it? Would you? Probably not. But Fox, I'm pretty sure you've come across people in your life that crossed you and you got them back in your own special way when the time was right.
Yeah, but I wouldn't wait 2 years, and if it was after 2 years, I'd be like, fuck it. I don't hold grudges that long.
And I know this is not a great thing to dwell on, but I had forgotten about it, and while you guys were talking, it jogged in my memory. The mass transit incident, which I think that he was justified in, because if that guy was not trained and he was out there trying to compete, he could have seriously, potentially injured somebody. Like, even people that know what they're doing, injuries still happen. People can still end up dead or paralyzed. So, if you don't know what you're doing, you're just out there in the backyard and you're trying to get on indie shows without being trained, I feel like you get what you deserve on that front. Mm-hmm. I feel like he was the most justified in that. I would say probably the Vic Grimes thing was probably where he was least justified in what he did. But to my earlier point, what I was saying about how just kind of he basically just kind of accused anybody that he had any kind of fault with for using that word. There was a period where he was talking about when he was on trial that Heyman was testifying. And Heyman had said that he heard Eric's dad use that word. Mm-hmm. But then New Jack started laughing and he said that he was working him, that Heyman was working the jury. So if he's working him, that means that he's not telling the truth. Does that kind of indicate that that's not necessarily what happened?
Well, I heard something also in that, right before all that, when New Jack I looked at my lawyer and said, I think we can beat this.
Yeah, because there was an old black dude on the jury.
Right. So, once again, you say beat, that means you did it and hope you're going to get away with it. I'm just saying. Now, obviously, I wish
they could interview Heyman for this, because he literally, and a lot of what he saved New Jack's ass, because the way New Jack told him, I believe it, it was like 4 white jurors, 4 white women, 1 old black dude. The old black dude was on the thing falling asleep. When Heyman goes into his spiel, the N-word. No, for the record, sir. What was the word? I'm sorry, Jack. I'm sorry. Called him a nigger. And I'm sorry. I wish it was like I wish it was video of that court case, boy. I wish they could have had Heyman on here to verify it some way, because that's gold.
That was. To move on to something, but I think we have a bit of an agree to disagree on some of that stuff. But to move on, those old school New Jack promos were great. They really were. They were fucking for that time. Let's face it, there was no way they could have gotten away with it. These were 94 and 95 promos, and they were really good with him and Mustafa. They really were.
I'm not going to lie, that OJ line cracked me the fuck up.
Oh, yes.
I had it before, but I had just forgotten about it. It was like, keep up the good work. I was
like, no, can we talk about an unsung hero of this documentary?
Okay.
Mustafa smoking pencil shavings.
Pencil shavings.
And that was Sandman. Like, look, Sandman, who's done every drug under the sun. No. That's probably the only time he said no to something that was offered to him, bro.
And by the way, Sandman came off like a huge piece of shit, and in my opinion, he kind of is. So,
wow, damn, Boxic, he's very salty tonight.
A total idiot, honestly. I hate to be an asshole, but
no, please.
If you watch that again, play a drinking game. Drink every time he says or dude, and you will be shit faced within 20 minutes. Because just everything. Dude. He was real fucking crazy, dude. He was fucking crazy, dude,
That's a great Sandman. Yeah, look, I I think Sandman's a piece of garbage, to be honest with you. I liked his shtick and everything, but I think the guy's kind of
lost me on the whole leaving his wife in a hot car to do a shoot interview. That's kind of where my opinion of him went south a little.
Yeah, well, he's up there getting fucked up. That definitely had a little bit to do with it. But no. I didn't really think the guy was a fucking choir boy before that. But some things have just confirmed my, my accusations. I'll just put it that way.
No, but the midget, I forgot his name, Tim, Tiny, whatever it was. This dude, like it's two things I just want to talk about because I just think they're, they represent the carnyism of pro wrestling.
Yes.
To a T. So this dude, for the mass transit case, he basically said the only reason he testified on New Jack's behalf is because New Jack promised him a spot in the WWF. Now, look, I love New Jack to death. I don't think New Jack can't get New Jack booked in the WWF. How the fuck is he going to get this guy a gig in the WWF? And they did show footage of him popping up.
Yeah.
But this was like years after the fact.
It was. And I mean, I don't know. Maybe he knew someone that knew someone. I mean, we all know Paul was working with him, so he might have put it in Paul's ear. Paul might have put it in Vince's ear. So who knows? But, and I know where you're going with the other one, by the way. So, I totally agree with you. But, yeah, this was definitely some carny shit right here.
Yes.
So basically, by the way, he kind of just admitted to perjury. He basically said, I lied because New Jack said he could get me in WWE.
Yeah, that guy was a piece of... I don't know what you guys think about it, but that guy came across as like the biggest piece of shit on the documentary for me.
I don't know. I still say Sandman takes it.
I'm just talking about
came off like Dennis Stamp-esque. Like just the guy who was never anything but felt like he was way bigger than he actually was. Because it fucking... And I'm sorry if I'm about to steal your point, Anthony, but he just started, like, they start up the documentary with him fucking watching a VHS tape, I imagine, of his appearance on the Jerry Springer show, as though that has any relevance to anything that's going on.
Mm. Yeah, man. Yes. I keep going, Anthony, because I know where you're going.
Yeah. So the Florida kid that he stabbed.
Hunter Red.
So basically, in my God, the indie footage, it looked like it was about 10 people in the crowd, counting the cameraman, wherever this show was.
Well, and Cornette said 30, so he was, he was giving him credit.
So anyway, obviously, the cops get called. Mm-hmm. This black dude in camouflage is stabbing this poor white man. He gets arrested. Hunter Red goes to visit New Jack and basically, hey Jack, I think we can take this little gimmick here on the road. I'll drop the charges if you kind of go around the horn with me. New Jack agrees to this because New Jack's not an idiot. He wants to get out of jail. He probably puts all of his shit in storage and leaves the state of Florida, and he never sees this guy again. Fantastic. Yep. That is the car. That's the carniest shit I have ever heard in pro wrestling.
You know what's funny though? Jack out-carnied Red. Hunter, he did. Hunter went in as a carny, and New Jack was like, "Yeah, I'm gonna out-carny your ass. Drop the charges first," and he did. He out-carnied the carny. That's how crazy wrestling is, right there. And New Jack.
Tell me that's
what's funny about that is that they were saying in that documentary that it took him like 2 weeks before he did that. Mm-hmm. So he had time to think it through and realize that he was probably being lied to and just do it anyway.
Yeah, and he stabbed this guy 9 times. That's a lot to stab somebody with a broken off Wolverine fucking blade.
Now the one guy I did. Okay, smart.
I was gonna say, how priceless was it watching D'Lo Brown watch that?
Oh, yep, he's stabbing him. Mm-hmm. Oh, no, he shouldn't hit New Jack like that.
No, my first thought, D'Lo's is eating well. Like that was my first thought.
Oh, D'Lo.
No.
He looks like a sitcom. Like a little chubby. He's got the mustache going. I could definitely see him being on like a sitcom.
I could see him. Yeah, but he'd be he'd be a cop, like a miserable cop. I could see that. Sorry, Anthony. Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, I guess real quick to wrap it up. I felt the most sorry for Gypsy Joe, and I honestly put that on the promoter. Because basically he left it up to the performers, but I feel like the promoter should have stepped in and gave those guys a blueprint of what he wanted, because I feel like we've been saying with this whole thing, this one was a legitimate misunderstanding, I feel like, because Gypsy Joe's 70 years old. His whole gimmick throughout his career was no sell. And he basically goes up to New Jack and says, I'm going to know. He basically said, I'll teach you a lot. Now, mind you, New Jack, like I said, say what you want about the guy. By this point in time, he was a veteran. He had been wrestling almost 20 years. To go up to somebody who's been in the same profession as you that long, to go up to somebody and say, kid, I'm going to show you some things, it's kind of like a disrespectful thing to me, number one. Number two, know who the fuck you're working with. That's not the type of thing you would say to New Jack, especially with his style of wrestling. You don't no-sell his shit. That's why I feel like if your gimmick is no-sell, you do that type of shit. Like if you're in there with somebody like, say, a Lanny Poffo, that's when you can kind of do that type of shit. So I feel like the promoter, knowing the two talents involved, should have stepped in and gave them a blueprint of what he wanted, make sure everybody was on the same page, and then you go from there. Or at the very least, put them against opponents that are more comparable to what they bring to the table.
Yeah, definitely.
I feel like the promoter is a scumbag in this situation, because I feel like he just wanted a clusterfuck match. Ooh, let's see what would happen if New Jack goes up against this old dude. No, seriously. No, that match was a clusterfuck, and I feel like he did that intentionally. But I feel like the promoter, like I said, New Jack, like I said, I'm not trying to take any of the heat off of him because he went too far in that situation. But at the same time, I feel like there's a lot of blood, there's a lot of blame to distribute in that situation. True. That's just my opinion on it.
I mean, look, even back to the Hunter Red, if you watch that video, New Jack starts stabbing him, and the ref just stands there like, what the hell is... And by the way, that's Jacksonville. They do say, what the hell's going on there? Like, it took him a minute, and he never reacted. He never reacted once.
He stabbed the shit out of that dude.
He stabbed him. He threw him out of the ring and kept stabbing him, and the ref's just sitting there like, this looks pretty rough. They getting into it, ain't they? I mean, hey, Gomer.
On the other side of that spectrum, when they were talking about the mass transit incident, they had the two guys that had worked ECW security, and it made me laugh because they were talking to him, and it's like, after a while, after he really started bleeding and the crowd looked like they were about to riot, we were like, maybe we should do something about this. It just made me laugh.
By the way, those guys...
I guess they did get involved, but they were like, yeah, this shit looks like this could go even worse than it's already going, so we should probably get involved.
And by the way, they gave zero fucks that it happened. Either one of them. They were like, yeah, it happened, but, we were there to watch the crowd.
Oh, for sure.
We were just there to watch the crowd, so...
Which, I mean, I guess to be fair, in the sort of landscape that was ECW... somebody getting the shit kicked out of them and bleeding a lot wasn't necessarily anything out of the ordinary. Like, I have seen the video. It was excessive, but you could, if you're watching it as it's going on, you could totally believe that it was just another day in ECW.
And honestly, that I feel like that's probably, it was like, in the grand scheme of things, it was a good documentary. But I guess my biggest problem is, this kind of painted that stereotypical picture that people have at ECW, that it was just garbage wrestling. That's why I feel like this could have benefited from being like a 2-part documentary. Like, I feel like Dreamer on the after show did a better job of explaining ECW than this documentary did. Because if this was a lot of people, let's be honest, a lot of people watching this documentary for the first time, this is their first exposure to New Jack. This is their first time hearing the 3 letters ECW. And if this is your only exposure to those two entities, coming out of this, you're going to come out of it thinking that New Jack's a piece of shit, and the ECW was just blood and guts, and a bunch of horse shit. That no wrestling guys just coming in bleeding and shit and all, bleeding, stabbing each other all over the place. Mm-hmm. No type of skill, no type of talent. And ECW was more than that, man. I don't want to go off on a tangent, but I just feel like this painted, like, in a lot of ways, wrestling specifically, but New Jack in particular, ECW in particular, in a very bad light. Right. It didn't really do a lot to expound on those things. It just kind of said, yeah, New Jack was a violent person that did violent things, and ECW was just a garbage promotion. Because whenever they said the words ECW, they always associated it with the mass transit thing, or somebody getting stabbed 9 times, or fucking Vic Grimes getting thrown off the scaffold, which didn't even happen in ECW.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I got to be honest. I wish they would have actually concentrated more on his younger life and him growing up a little bit more. I got a feeling he probably didn't want to get into a lot of it, but it would have made it better. I don't know. I mean, because we've heard a lot of the stories that they told about, and they still left a little bit out of some of those stories. But I would have liked to have heard more about young New Jack, about young Jerome, if you will. So that's what I would have rather hear about.
One thing that I wanted to kind of touch on that I didn't really think about the whole time frame of it. Okay, they were all in Smoky Mountain together. They being the gangsters, New Jack, Mustafa, D'Lo. Well, they mentioned in the documentary, and it's common knowledge, of course, that while they were in Smoky Mountain, Paulie offered New Jack and Mustafa a deal. They ended up going to ECW. Well, then after that, D'Lo went to the WWF. Mm-hmm. I mean, he spent some time in developmental or whatever, but he signed the contract, I guess, shortly thereafter. So I hadn't even considered it as a possibility before, but it really had me thinking about it. Like, D'Lo, as you know, he ended up going on to the Nation of Domination. Could you imagine how much fucking heat they would have gotten if the Nation of Domination also consisted of New Jack and Mustafa?
Oh.
Like, if they hadn't signed the deal with Paulie and they ended up debuting with Farouk and all, like, oof, that would have been some fucking heat, boy.
Oh, my God. Heat and a half, man. That would have been fucking white-hot heat.
Because at the time, New Jack hadn't did all the stuff that he did that kind of got him blacklisted from WWF. So it was a theoretically feasible possibility.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a shame. And I feel like that's the shame of it all, like with New Jack, because you can say what you want about his wrestling ability, blah, 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 but he's a charismatic guy. And even watching this documentary, he comes across as a very charming guy, believe it or not.
Sure.
Like, he comes across as a guy, like, he could be talking about the most heinous shit, but he does it in such an entertaining way that it's like, I want to have a beer with this guy. Seriously, am I wrong?
No, you're not.
There's a certain likability to New Jack that you can't deny. He's a very charismatic guy. And if he could have just found a way to rein in that other aspect of him that tends to go a little bit over the line, he could have been money in WWE.
Well,
this guy, he would have been a license to print money.
The problem might have been the fact that he liked doing cocaine before his matches with WWE.
Even without the cocaine, he's uncontrollable. I feel like he's a guy that even when he's straight, he doesn't tolerate bullshit. And you got to figure, you got Cornette in WWE, mm-hmm. You got Paulie in WWE.
Lawler.
Yeah, exactly. People that have worked with him.
Mm-hmm.
They say, Vince, you don't want to touch this guy. And plus, it's just like, they just show him a YouTube clip. Yeah, Vince, I worked with him for 5-6 years. He's he's charismatic guy, but he's not worth the risk.
Yeah.
They looked at it like that. It's like too high a risk and too low a reward. But I feel like he would have been a very entertaining segment on WWE if he could have toned some other things down.
Well, I mean, that promoter in Jacksonville, the Thunder he talked about New Jack like it was the son he never had. Did you hear him? He was like, "Oh, all he wants to do is make people happy. That's just all he's about." Great guy, great guy.
He's a good cook
and a good cook. He cooks spaghetti, mostly spaghetti.
But I mean, look, but I guess, like I said, the people that know him, like I said, if you treat him respectfully, Treat you like gold. If he feels slighted by you, and once again, I feel like that goes back to he never, like I said, he never had developed good coping mechanisms.
Yeah,
because of, like I said, what he went through. And I really feel like I wish they had got into this. Should have been a 2-parter. This really should have been a 2-parter because they probably were stretched for time, so they just wanted to hit the high points, get in, get out. But I feel like by doing that, you kind of left a lot on the table, and it kind of came across, like I said, nobody really came out of this looking well. Tiny the Terrible came across piece of shit. Cornette came across shitty. Wrestling Business came. This was an episode of Dark Side of the Ring that really made wrestling look like shit.
Made wrestling look dark is what it did.
I mean, honestly, this should have got the Benoit treatment and been like a 2-parter, in my opinion.
Yeah, but I mean, I guess when you start off with a 2-part Benoit, I don't know. But spaghetti. Don't forget spaghetti.
That was your main takeaway. Spaghetti.
My main takeaway was he liked to cook spaghetti, and by the way, that guy just beautiful song that he was playing. He wrote it too. He wrote that.
I'm just trying to envision, instead of like how they used to do in the late 90s with like Foley and King, instead of that you have New Jack and a Chef Boyardee commercial.
Eat this spaghetti, motherfucker.
You put that fork in that Chef Boyardee, or I'll put the fork in your motherfucking forehead.
Goddamn right. Stab your ass 9 times. Not 16 like the news said. 9. By the way, Chef Boyardee, eat that shit. Yeah. All right. Okay.
And apparently, because I listened to an interview, I forgot who he did it with, but New Jack, he didn't actually know what the Dark Side of the Ring series was at first, before he actually did it.
I believe. I'm sorry, Anthony. I believe the guys were on. Was it the Jericho podcast?
I think they made the horn. They were on a few different podcasts.
They were, and I think it was the Jericho podcast, and they basically said they sort of didn't trick him, but they didn't give him the full story.
Yeah, because he basically said he went into it like the interview that I heard from New Jack. He basically treated it like a payday, it was like a wrestling shoot interview. So he kind of like went in there as New Jack, and he said basically he had watched the Von Erich one right after the fact, and he said, and if he had knew that was what the concept was, he wouldn't have went into it a little differently. Because he basically went into it like New Jack, but he basically treated it like a standard shoot interview. Because if you look at, there's no difference to how he came off of here and a fucking RF video shoot interview.
Well, according to some people, that there is, they were all saying at the beginning, even D-Lo was like, the character and Jerome Young are the same. There's no difference. New Jack and Jerome.
And Sandman. I don't think I've ever met Jerome. That might have been the most coherent thing he said on the broadcast.
What's Sandman's real name again? I don't think I've ever met that guy either, by the way. I'm not sure if Sandman's ever met that guy. By the way, just to point that out.
Oh god.
Oh, well, I am a little salty tonight. I'm sorry. I'm a little salty. I'm sorry.
Hey, so you talk about yo and bruh and you know. I wonder. It makes you wonder what they had to edit out to clean it up, make it presentable for television. If that's what they had to end up putting on the air. What do you think that unedited Sandman interview looks like?
Dude, bro.
Basically, just a Matt Riddle promo.
Yeah, bro, dude. Whoa. Those guys
I don't know if anybody caught, they did an after show to this. And you really didn't miss much if you didn't watch it, but just a real quick summary of highlights. They had Tommy Dreamer joined Sandman and Mustafa. Sandman and Mustafa were part of segment 1. Then segment 2 was Tommy Dreamer. Segment 3 was New Jack with everybody. So as soon as Tommy Dreamer gets on, Sandman starts making fun of him for being fat. That's fun. I enjoyed that. They showed a little they told a little story about how Sandman and New Jack, it was a deleted scene from the documentary. They went to go get cocaine or crack, either way. And they ended up getting ripped off. They sold them fake drugs. So he ends up breaking into the guy's house that sold him the fake drugs, and he beat the shit out of him, and then he went and got actual drugs like up the street from where the guy was. So still in the same neighborhood. The funniest thing I think about it was they had Mustafa on at the very beginning. Halfway through the show, just like after they come back from a commercial break, Mustafa isn't there anymore because he went to go eat dinner. Like, he was not even committed to the fucking half-hour after show. It just made me laugh.
I didn't see that, but I'm going to have to check that out.
He strikes me. I wish I knew more about him. I wish I would have talked to him more, because he strikes me as a real fucking just interesting guy.
Yeah, I didn't get to hear any of that, but I'll check that out. I will. I'll check that out. Probably tomorrow or something. But
and I'll be honest, I've heard the pencil shaving story before, but it never gets funny. It never stops getting funny.
I don't get that. Pencil shavings mixed with weed. I don't get it. That sounds nasty as fuck. That sounds like you'd be. I mean, gee, do you know what your lungs must look like? Yeah.
Right. Wouldn't that be lead, essentially?
Yeah, there'd be some lead in there. That could explain a few things. I'll just say that. That could explain some things.
Yeah, and we can all agree that New Jack was the star of the team there. So, easily.
Definitely could explain. But I think I got nothing more on that, guys. So I don't know if you guys do, but I think we went through it pretty good. I mean, obviously we missed some, but hey, the documentary missed some too. So hey, we're no better than they are.
Yeah, and next week we got
for all.
Yes, and I take back what I said. I'm actually looking forward to it because they released a little clip of the Godfather, and he had held up a picture of he had got like this gnarly looking leg injury. Bar, he said that was the stupidest shit in wrestling ever. And they just said Dark Side of the Ring this Tuesday.
I hope,
and I can't wait.
I hope they have Butterbean on there. He's still alive, right? He's still alive, right? Butterbean.
Yeah,
he's okay.
I think so.
Want to make sure.
As far as I know, yeah.
As far as I know, too. I probably would have heard if he passed, but yeah, man, I would. I hope he's on there because I mean, that was the guy. That was him.
And honestly, like I guess the guy's logic because a lot of people say why do the brawl for all because it's what's controversial about it, and apparently the producers are looking at it as more of a human interest story, but because here are a bunch of guys, right, that are paid to be performance artists because wrestling, I don't know if you guys heard, isn't real. But then you put them into a situation where you expect them to hurt each other for real and pay them more money. And once he kind of broke it down like that, I said, that is interesting. So I might have to check this one out because I'll be honest, this was going to be the episode that I skipped. But the way he broke it down, I'm like, I might have to check this one out because I never looked at it from that perspective.
No, I want to hear how they tell this story because of how bad that was. I want to see how bad they make that out to be or how good they try to make it.
A lot of people got hurt coming out of that legit, and a lot of hurt feelings because basically it was like, okay, whoever legitimately wins this competition gets like a bump in pay, basically. And you get two guys that are on a low end of things. You get like fucking Bradshaw, who probably wasn't making jack shit at the time, and Two Cold Scorpio, who's also at the bottom of the food chain. Okay, guys, go out there and slug it out. Winner gets $50,000 extra on top. Okay, mother, lace them up. These checks gonna clear today.
Poor Bart Gunn. Oh God.
Oh, Bart Gunn was kicking ass in there. You remember? He won.
Kicked ass and then got in the ring with Butterbean. Oh, great! Is this this is what I get? Awesome for winning.
Because he fucked up. He wasn't part of the plan.
Yeah, well, the loser should have gotten in the ring with Butterbean. I'll put it that way. Poor fucking
come
guy.
on, bro. What the fuck did they expect? You put that man in the ring with a professional fighter. They were setting that man up to fail.
Yeah, and I mean, look, Butterbean isn't exactly the greatest fighter, but he has power behind those fucking ham hocks he's throwing at you, and he's got some speed for a big fat dude. Yeah. So I would not want to get near Butterbean, man. That guy lands night. Nate.
And Box, I know you're not the historian, but you remember how quick that shit was. Mm-hmm. The bell rang, and the bell rang.
Yeah. Yeah, like I said, man, you get hit by Butterbean, you're going the fuck down, man. He's knocked out some people that you'd be like, what, really? Look at his career, man. That guy was a big draw at one point in the, I'd say late 90s, maybe mid to late 90s.
Thank you, Antox. 35 seconds.
There you go. 2 hits. Butterbean hitting Bart Gunn, Bart Gunn hitting the fucking mat.
Yeah, and I think that was supposed to set up Steve Williams, Dr. Death, as Steve Austin's next challenger.
Yep.
And Bart Gunn had to come along and fuck it all up. Pissed off Jay. That was the height of
salty JR.
Yep, because remember that got a lot of heat on JR too. Because I guess he was apparently telling Dr. Death he's badass. Dr. Death gonna be, and then when he got knocked out, people like in the back pop because they wanted to. It wasn't even nothing personal against Dr. Death, but JR pumped this guy up so fucking much. Badass. He gonna whoop everybody's ass. Blah blah blah. And when he got knocked out, the locker room apparently went crazy. Like, yeah, knock him. And then what did they do? They took Bart off of TV immediately. He was off TV for like 6 months. And then they brought him back. He had a couple matches on Raw. And then I as much as I think JR was a part of that too. I think he was a part of that too, man. Like they had to know putting that dude. And I don't give a fuck how tough you are in wrestling. You put somebody in there against a professional fighter. Come on, man. It ain't going to end well.
No.
It ain't going to end well.
No, and like I said, Butterbean the guy's a fucking killer. I don't care what he looks like. I don't care how fat he is. The guy is a fucking killer when it comes to boxing and can take a fucking beating if you can get to him. That's another thing. He's great at evading. I'm telling you, man, that one guy I just wouldn't want to fucking get near. Not even near, except unless I'm going to shake his hand and walk away. That's it, man. But, yeah, that'll be an interesting one. I definitely can't wait to, like I said, that's another one, though. I want to see how they present it. I want to see if they try to make it like it was a good thing or a bad thing. So I definitely want to see, and I really want to see who they have on for that one.
Yeah,
the only thing I hope is that we don't get, and I know we're getting some of it, so before anyone bothers to mention that, because I did see the trailer, I just hope that we don't get an overabundance of Cornette versus Russo. Like a little bit here and there is fine, but I don't want it to be like the bulk of the documentary.
Right.
Because I've seen it so many times, and some people enjoy it, but me personally don't give a shit anymore.
No, I actually want to hear from the participants. I want to hear from the people that were actually involved in the Brawl for All. Mm-hmm. Because we already know Cornette's, I haven't seen that particular trailer, but I already know Cornette's perspective on it without even listening to his commentary on it. Brawl for All was worst idea in the history of the business. Vince Russo's going to defend it because it was his horse shit of an idea. Of course he's going to defend it. And no, I want to hear from like the Godfather or Dries, or another interesting one would be if they can find Mark Merrill, because he was in that shit too, and he was a guy I want to actually hear his perspective on it because he was a legitimate boxer.
Yeah, and he ain't hard to find. He's not hard to find. He's doing motivational speaking all over the place. Yeah, not a hard guy to find. Not a hard guy to find at all. So I'd love to hear from you. You're right. It was a legit boxer. I mean, thank God Baron Corbin wasn't around at that time. Jesus.
No, Mark, they're golden gloves. He can hurt some people if he wanted to.
Golden gloves. He put on a pair of fucking gloves and painted them gold. Fuck him.
I'm talking about me. I'm not talking about Corbin.
Oh, all right. Anyway, yeah, me too. All right. All right. So, do we want to get into Mania or the Maniac?
Let's do Mania predictions real quick.
Okay. There we go. I mean, it's only 16 matches, guys.
Oh, only? Jesus. Is that 16 matches per night?
Don't push it. It could be. But here we go. I'm just going to go. I'm on Wiki. I'm just going to go from the bottom up. 16 matches. It doesn't tell what night they're on. I don't even know if we know what night all these matches are on right now. Do we? Is there an actual card like that? I don't know. If you can find it,
no.
Whatever. All right.
This Mania is going to be a legitimate mystery.
Yeah. WrestleMania is a mystery. Oh, anyway. Ready?
Yep, let's go.
All right. Singles match starting off. Otis, Dolph Ziggler.
Otis, easily.
Yeah, Otis. Smart.
Yeah, go Otis.
Oh, I hope we can move through all of them this quick. Tag team match for the WWE Women's Tag Team Championship. Excuse me. Kabuki Warriors versus Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross.
They love some Alexa, so I'm gonna go Bliss and Cross on this one.
Smart.
This is a tough one.
It is,
because I feel like they have caught on to the fact that Asuka is like one of the most entertaining people they have right now. Mm-hmm. So that could mean that they keep the belt on her, or that could mean that they take the belt off of her and have her compete for a singles title. So it's hard to say either way on that one. I'll go with them retaining.
Yeah, I'm going to go with you, Smart. I'm going Kabuki Warriors also. I am. Anthony
Smart.
can be the lone one on that one.
So you keeping tabs on our picks here?
No, you can. You think I'm in the mood for that shit? All right.
God damn, motherfucker, you are salty tonight.
All right, here we go. We have a singles match for the WWE Intercontinental Championship. Sami Zayn with Cesaro and Nakamura versus Daniel Bryan, and he'll have Drew Gulak with him. Here we go. What do you think, Sami Zayn, Daniel Bryan? Zayn is the current champion. What do you think, guys? Daniel Bryan takes it. What do you think?
Nah, I'm gonna go Zayn. Too early to take the title off of him, and I don't see Bryan going for it being more. I think he's gonna transition to more of a part-timer at this point, so I'm gonna go Zayn.
Sometimes I think they put these articles out to make you think exactly that, and then they fuck you in the end, Anthony. But I do think Sami Zayn will retain. There's going to be fuckery in this match. This could even be a DQ match. This could even end in a DQ. I mean, it's a singles match, definitely could end in a DQ. I'm going to say Sami retains, probably with fuckery, possibly a DQ. Smart?
Yeah, I'll go Sami too. I honestly wouldn't be surprised if they have him lose, but I feel like they're going to eventually tease a falling out between him and Cesaro and whatnot, but
right.
Nakamura. So I feel like in order for that to best happen, you have to have him keep the belt, but at the same time, they don't give a fuck about the Intercontinental title, so it's hard to say, but Sami.
True. Very true, very true. One of you guys is near a fan or the wind is blowing in your microphone? Let's see. I think it's actually Anthony. Anyway, last man standing match, Edge versus Randy Orton. Let's see here. There's no reason for Edge to win this. I got to go Orton. Plus, Orton's been killing it. I think Orton. I'm going Orton. I don't see a reason for Edge to win it right now, especially without a crowd there. I'm going Orton. I'm going to go Edge only because I don't think he's going to be a regular part of the roster per se, but I feel like they want to keep him strong for these Saudi shows. Okay. All right. Smart. Or in general, they just want to keep him strong as a special attraction when they do pull him out. All right. Smart.
Yeah, for a similar reason, I'm going to go Edge. Maybe not because of the Saudi shows, but it seems like he has more matches ahead of him, and if we have him lose right out the gate, that does take some of the luster off.
All right. Sounds good. Singles match. Elias versus King Corbin. I don't need to think. It's Elias. Better win. Better fucking win. Kick this son of a bitch's ass. Burger King hat wearing little fuck.
As much as I like Elias of the two, I like Elias more, but Corbin. Just because they seem to have more, they see more upside in Corbin.
Yeah.
With the television time they get is first.
Yeah, whatever your thoughts are. Go ahead. Go ahead, Smart.
I'm going to plead the fifth. And the fact that I'm pleading the fifth means you know that I'm picking Corbin. So let's go ahead to the next match.
Spark's like, oh, I don't want to get berated too. Mm-hmm. Singles match, Aleister Black versus Bobby Lashley. probably with Lana. So
Black.
Anthony's just yelling out colors here. I mean, what the fuck, Anthony?
Yeah, but which one?
Alistair. Alistair.
Yes, that's where I was going with that one. I want to go Alistair because I guess, just for the obvious reason, I guess Lashley is getting late, folks.
What would that be?
Lashley is quarantining himself, so he's not going to be around for a little while. So, and Black has he has some momentum behind him, so it makes sense to give him the win.
Yeah. You know what? I'll go Alistair Black too. Smart.
Yep, that's three of us. I'll go with Black as well.
All right, tag team match WWE this is for the WWE Raw Tag Team Championship match, should I say? The Street Profits versus Austin Theory and Angel Garza. Thank God they'll have Zelina Vega with them. I bet she can't look better than last week. I gotta say it, then she does it. Let's see. Man, do you think they'd keep it on the Street Profits and already start causing a little bit of problem between Theory and Garza?
I put it to you like this: after Monday's what we saw on Raw with that botch, Profits all the way. Profits are there because they're going to look at that and say, "Yeah, this guy's not ready for prime time."
Wow. Well, I mean, yeah. Let's hope Montez Ford is still walking.
Yeah.
My God, man. Still the thud. It sounded like fucking like you dropped a steak off the second story floor. If you come on, you can imagine what that sounds like. A big steak, not a little steak, a big steak. So, I'm gonna go Street Profits to also Smart.
Yeah, I'll make that a trifecta. I wasn't going to until Andrade got injured, but with Andrade being injured, I'll go Street Profits.
Yeah. We now have a triple threat ladder match for the WWE Smackdown Tag Team Championship. The Miz and John Morrison, New Day versus the New Day versus the Usos. I almost think, I don't know, man. The way it's going, I think they're going to keep them on Miz and Morrison, honestly. But I could see them putting it on the Usos. But I think they're going to stick it on Miz and Morrison right now. Or leave it with Miz and Morrison. Sorry.
Yeah, that's my line of thinking right now.
Yeah.
The New Day Usos, they're going to cancel each other out. Miz and Morrison going to capitalize, retain. So Miz and Morrison is my pick too.
Smart.
Yep, I'll agree again.
All right, moving on. Singles match: Kevin Owens versus Seth Rollins.
This is a toss-up. Man,
oh no, the next match is going to be tougher, but this is kind of a toss-up because I mean it's just a singles match. There's no stipulations. It is what it is.
You know what? I'm going to go Kevin Owens just based off of the story that they're telling right now. Rollins he's already had all of these WrestleMania moments, and Owens hasn't had one yet. And basically, if you look at this feud, which is honestly, believe it or not, has been going on for months now, so it actually has some juice behind it. And more times than not, Rollins has gotten an upper hand over Owens. So it's about time Owens gets his pound of flesh from Rollins.
I can see this one ending in fuckery also with Rollins winning by DQ. I'm going to say Rollins, even if by DQ.
I'm also going to say Rollins.
All right, there we go. 2-1 on that one. All right, guys, it's time for the Boneyard match. Undertaker versus AJ Styles. I got to admit, this one's a little bit of a toss-up for me. This is actually probably the toughest one to actually predict, in my opinion. We know Undertaker likes winning at WrestleMania. AJ Styles would be really good for him to win a match like this. This would be huge for AJ. Even though Taker's been beat, it's still a big match for AJ Styles, I would assume, with or without a crowd. I think Taker, let's see. Give me a second. This one is tough. One of you guys go first.
For this one, believe it or not, this was easy for me. I'm going to go Taker on this one.
All right. Smart, you think?
Yep.
Yeah. All right. Is it that easy?
Well, I mean, AJ could benefit from it, but at the same time, AJ is also kind of getting up there in age himself.
Yeah, but...
And plus, I look at it like this. I mean, look, I know the joke is Taker needs to retire, wrap it up, blah, 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 but they have so much equity tied up in his character. They're not, even though we've already seen him lost, so the whole WrestleMania thing doesn't matter as much as it once did, but they still don't want to have him like 22 and 22. So I feel like this is just going to be another easy W for the dead man to kind of like keep some type of prestige on the character.
Okay. Undertaker. Yeah, it's heads. Okay.
Damn, yeah, you are salty. Me and Smart over here trying to add some discussion, some logic to this. You just flipped the fucking coin, you bastard.
I pulled out a quarter and flipped that motherfucker. I couldn't decide. Both of you have really good points, but I said fuck it. Both your points are incredibly valid, and I appreciate them both. But fuck it. Heads, Undertaker. There we go.
Plus, I think it keeps Brock's accomplishment strong if he's the only one to do it.
Well, Reigns did it too, though.
Did he?
Yeah, remember he laid it.
I've cared about the last couple of years.
Yeah, Reigns did it, and then remember he laid his boots down and his hat down and his jacket down, and then a few like the next year, for the whole year, Roman Reigns was going, "I retired the Undertaker, I retired," and then the next year the Undertaker was back, and I'm like, "You're a lying piece of shit."
Huh.
Yeah, I remember this whole thing.
Well, kind of like,
which is shocking. I know. But I do.
But you gotta apply the David Flair rule here, Box. Brock did it first, as opposed to Flair hit it first.
You're right. He did, but he has been beat more than once, which is why I said the luster is gone on that. But all right, I'll go Taker. Like I said, it was heads. Fatal 5-way elimination match for the WWE Smackdown Women's Championship. This is Bayley, and she is going versus Lacey Evans, Naomi, Tamina, and Sasha Banks.
Clearly, it got to be Tamina right after the night. They painted her as the favorite. That's not my pick, by the way. I'm just being sarcastic. I want to make that clear. I'm being sarcastic on that one.
All right.
You got one of you guys. This one is like hard for me because I can't decide between Bayley and Sasha because I feel like they're going to tease some tension there, possibly even a breakup here.
I almost think they're going to give it to Lacey at times, but I don't think she's getting enough push right now. I think in this match, I definitely think there's going to be tension between Sasha and Bayley, and I think Bayley will somehow retain that title, though.
Smart, you got somebody? I'm still thinking real quick.
Well, the last couple of times I've picked against Bayley winning, and she always does, so I'm just going to keep that tradition alive and go with Naomi.
All right, Anthony.
You know what? Fuck it. I'm going to go Sasha. She's been in a bit of a drought in terms of titles, so I feel like this is going to be her time to retain and go on a little bit of a run.
I still have that quarter. I'm just saying, Anthony. I still got the quarter if you need it. Just let me know. I got it.
All right, I'll go heads, Sasha.
Oh, you're already taking head from Sasha, is what you're saying?
I wouldn't mind it. I put it if it was offered, I wouldn't turn it down.
No. You'd be crazy. So. All right, so Sasha, it is for you, is what you're saying?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, guys. 5 matches left. That's it. Firefly Funhouse match. John Cena versus The Fiend, Bray Wyatt.
Wyatt.
Yeah. Smart.
Cena. I'm not even kidding. I see it happening.
Wow.
Damn. You really did smart?
It was
I swear to you, it's Vince.
No hesitation. Boom, Cena. Done. Nah, I can't, man. I can't. Not after that.
I'm not saying that it's the logical thing to do. I'm just saying, like, would you put it past Vince? That's the logic that's like the prism I'm viewing this through.
Put it past Vince? No. But Cena's not going to be around after this, maybe for 1 week, 2 weeks at the most.
How long is Goldberg going to be around for?
but I don't. But at least Goldberg's got nothing better to do. Cena's got movies to shoot and a little Asian
Not
girls
anymore.
to fuck. What?
Not anymore. He doesn't have movies to shoot. Well, I mean, hot girls to fuck probably still, but
No, wait. Let's go to that IMDb.
And didn't they push back the new Fast and the Furious for a year?
Well, I mean, they're pushing back a lot of movies. Let's be honest. I mean, I know they are right
yeah,
now.
that's all I'm saying.
I know, but I mean, a couple months. That's it, though.
Yeah, but to Smark's point, yeah, they do have a lot of time to get some stuff in the can with them while they have access to them. So, damn it, Smark, you got me over here thinking now.
Yeah, actually, it looks like he's got. He's got this. Let's see, he's got one thing lined up for this year: Project Extraction. Next year, he's got the Suicide Squad. He's going to be the Peacemaker, according to this IMDb. And he's doing F9, Fast Furious 9 next year. He's playing Jacob Toretto. Obviously, he's playing a family of Vin Diesels. My God, this guy is... No, they're doing a lot of Smackdown and stuff. But 92 different things for Cena, definitely. Some of them are wrestling, but, he's actually done his fair share of movies, I got to be honest with you. And TV, also. And I did not know he was the voice of Hulk in the 2016 Marvel Avengers Academy game. Just to throw that out there. Now, scrolling through the old, thing here. Yeah, that's pretty cool. I didn't know that. The shit you learn when you're looking at IMDb. Anyway, let's close this out so we don't sit here and stare at that. We'll try to get finished with these matches. So where were we? We were done with the Cena Fiend, right?
Yeah.
All right. All we got left is 4 championship matches. Singles match for the Raw Women's Championship: Becky Lynch, Shayna Baszler.
I'm going to go Baszler on this one.
I think you have to. Smart.
Yep, I think so too. I think they've been talking a lot about Becky she said that she couldn't envision herself not being the champion, so I feel like that's probably the story arc that they're going to take moving forward, is what her identity is now that she isn't the champion.
And the Raw after, she should, instead of driving the truck, she should be driving down in like a wrapped golf cart instead. Like the truck is gone, she's moved down to a golf cart now, and
no more Box Express.
She's just not a badass anymore,
and plus she's not making championship money anymore. Is she trying to say she had to downgrade? She has to start living within her means box.
Yeah, comes down to like a Pee Wee Herman bicycle, maybe. I don't know. We'll see. I'm throwing some stuff against the wall here. I'm not saying it's gonna stick, but I'm just throwing. That's all. Anyway, 3 matches left. Singles match for the WWE Universal Championship: Goldberg versus Braun Strowman. Braun Strowman is who we're going against.
This might be blasphemous, but I'm going to say Goldberg. Only because keep the title on Goldberg until you get back to normal, and have him drop the title to like Reigns or whoever else. But I just feel like it would be as backwards to put the title on Strowman, who at this point means less than shit as a main event player. My opinion. I just feel like keep the belt. I mean, if you're going to put the show on ice for a couple of months as is anyway, keep the belt on Goldberg until you can get back to normal. Have him drop the belt to Reigns, and then just keep move forward from there. But to flip it now would be, in my opinion, a bad mistake.
Well, to just flip it now, number one, to flip it with a obvious fill-in, which we know he is. The story was out there, last week. To do it with a fill-in would be pretty fucking stupid. So I don't think they're gonna. I think Goldberg's keeping it too. I do. I don't know why, but I think he is. Smart.
I'll go Braun. You could set it up later on that he attacked Reigns, and that's why he got the spot. I mean, we know that's not true, but there you go. It's not that hard to write a feud based on that.
Oh, maybe that's the unique way. Unique, him attacking him. That would be super unique for WWE. Anyway, singles match for the WWE Championship. We got Brock Lesnar versus Drew McIntyre. I really want to. I know there's no crowd, but I'd like to see Drew win this.
Okay, but I'm just saying, though, if you're gonna put it on Drew, would you rather hold off on it to where you can get back to normal doing it in front of a crowd, or do you just say fuck it, put it on them, and just worry about that later?
Fuck it.
Cause I feel like they kind of they've been building towards a certain moment, and I feel like Drew would get a decent reaction for winning the belt. I feel like
I still say fuck it. You got to do it. Look, you can't hold everything back because of what's going on right now. You're gonna have to further some storylines, and Brock Lesnar. You don't think he's about to go quarantine? I mean, I know he's not there a lot anyway, but he's going to go self-quarantine himself. And it's hunting season, summer hunting season's coming up. So, or not summer, I'm sorry. Spring. So I'm saying Drew. I'm going Drew on this. They've got to pull the trigger. You cannot worry about whether or not there's a crowd. You still have to do something at WrestleMania. And I think this would still be a big win with or without a crowd. Going Drew all the way.
Fuck it, I'll go Drew too.
Damn, did I just Paul Heyman you into that?
Yeah, that Jewish charm.
Oh, sorry, Anthony. He called him anyway. Smark, you were saying.
Yeah, I'm just going to agree. I'm going to go with Drew as well, but I kind of already had that in the can, so for whatever that's worth.
Mm-hmm. All right. Here we go. NXT Women's Championship singles match. Rhea Ripley versus Charlotte Booby Flair.
I'm going to use Smart's logic from earlier with Cena and Fiend. I'm going to go, as much as it pains me to say this, I'm going to go Charlotte. They're going to want to give her another Mania moment. She's already beaten Asuka. She's already won Raw Women's titles, SmackDown Women's titles at WrestleMania. Make it a trifecta. Give it an NXT title, even though I think it's a horrible mistake to take the title off of Rhea Ripley right now.
Yeah,
horrible.
I'm going to say Rhea keeps it. I'm sticking with it. Smart.
I'm going to go... It's a tough one, though. I'm going to go Rhea.
Yeah. All right. So there we go. 2 Rhea, 1 Charlotte. There we go. Guys, I swear to God, that's it. That was the last match. That was the last match as we stare into Smart's eyes.
And honestly, you know the funniest thing about predictions for this broadcast show, guys?
Yeah.
We put all of that effort and all of that deep thought into these discussions and these matches, and the shit is already in the can. I love it.
Well, you know what the good thing is? You know what the good thing is, though? No, I have not seen any spoilers.
Beautiful thing. And I believe, if there's one positive to be gleaned by this, the fact that WWE's done everything on closed sets, and they basically, the way they did it was they kept it to necessary personnel only, and they literally filmed one match at a time, basically meaning that nobody was in on the deal at the one. They literally, they had everything separated. Right. So literally, Lashley and Aleister Black had their match. You got the cameraman, those 2 guys, and the ref. Once they done, get the fuck out. You get match 2 in there. So literally, if there was a mold, it would be very easy to find out who leaked the information.
A mole or a mold?
A mole.
Okay, because mold is completely different. I mean, that's just as dangerous. But I just wanted to clarify.
No.
Just wanted to clarify. I mean, moles are annoying. They can get you in trouble. But mold, that shit can kill. I mean, that's fucking bad. That shit could probably cause some coronavirus right there. But all right. So that's it. We're done. Mania. Wait till tomorrow. Oh boy. And that was fun. Anyway, Anthony.
Yes, sir.
Teddy Hart. Smart. Teddy Hart. Teddy Hart, eh? Yeah, I know. I know you'll kick my ass. Yeah, I know. Right? I'm sorry.
Get out of here.
I'm sorry.
Scumbags in wrestling. Like, this guy has like I swear this man has like 1,800 lives.
Well, yeah, and he's out of jail.
None of them good. None of them good.
Yeah, and he's out of jail somehow. I guess he got bail.
So before we kind of get into the meat of the story here, because there's a lot to break down here, do you guys see a sympathetic figure in any of this horse shit going on right now? Because I don't. I'm sorry. Like I said, the strangulation, putting your hands on a woman, all terrible. But based on that video she put out, Maria Manic, I'm speaking of, I found it hard to sympathize with her at this point because her logic was just ass backwards. Like nothing she said made a goddamn bit of sense.
Let's put it this way. Nothing she says makes sense. Teddy, when he talks, not a lot makes sense. So between the two of them, I don't know what the fuck is going on. I know Maria is basically acting like she has fucking Stockholm syndrome and is defending Teddy. All I know is if it came down to someone having to pull a gun on Teddy Hart, I believe it was a little more than just playing around. And one of her reasons, he teaches me to fight, so sometimes, he chokes me out, but it's okay because he teaches me to fight. I'm, like, really tough. And it's like...
we're wrestlers, sometimes we take it too far.
Yeah. I mean,
yeah,
what?
I mean, she even really did go as far as, honest to God, went as far as to say that she didn't want to make a big deal out of this because she sometimes wrestles men, and she didn't want that to hurt her credibility if she couldn't handle a guy in like a legit fight, I guess, or a sparring session, as she's like trying to make this out to be.
Okay, taking on a guy in the ring and some steroid freak. I'm sorry, alleged steroid freak. I don't know. You look at Teddy Hart 3 weeks ago and look at him now. That's all I'm saying. I mean, there's a big difference there. Is all I'm saying. It's just a big difference there. But I don't know, man. This is like battered wife. This is like a battered wife who makes every excuse for her husband, and then when it comes down to pressing charges, will not press charges. I believe she did drop the charges, didn't she? I don't know if I thought I read that. I don't know if that's true or not.
No, and I love the story she kind of gave to the cops when they came on the scene. Basically, she said, I knew if I told the cops, no, he didn't do anything, well, they wouldn't believe that. So I just kind of told them the truth. Like, yeah, we were fucking around. Things got he did go a little too far, but I'm okay. I don't want to press charges. I don't want to deal with that horse shit. I'm like, come on, man. And then, like you said, when you get to the gun, don't you even pretend, like, you don't even play around like you're going to shoot somebody, okay? Like what? Like, like, seriously, dude, I went from, like, legitimately feeling sorry for this woman when you hear about the charge, because this guy should be he should be behind bars. He should be under the jail right now. I heard people like, who's going to book Teddy Hart? No, fuck, but hopefully a judge. That's who I hope books Teddy Hart. Fuck, yeah, I mean, because that's what he needs right now for his own good at this point. These two need to be as far away from each other as humanly possible because they're toxic for each other.
Yeah, I mean, I can play a little bit of the Maria video if you want me to. We're definitely not going to play all 16 minutes. I promise you.
No. Just play the beginning because that was the most oxymoronic shit ever.
Yeah, definitely. And again, the video is 16 minutes and 48 seconds. But I'm glad she came on here to do this little video. Here we go.
I wanted to make a quick video and just kind of clear the air and tell the real story. This is not a story I ever wanted to have to tell to anyone, especially the whole internet, but it's already been put on the internet and talked about all over the internet, so, now I have to kind of come on here and retell the story the way it actually went and explain what really happened and what I'm actually upset about. So let me start off by saying I'm perfectly fine. Perfectly fine. I have a lot of people ask me if I'm okay and sending me well wishes, which I appreciate. Thank you for caring, but I'm perfectly fine, I promise. So to kind of backtrack, Ted was over and we were arguing about something. it was something silly. Now, Ted has been training me to fight in the past. So, you know, a lot of the time we do fight, but we're usually, you know, out in the living room on pads, or, you know, we know that we're fighting. But sometimes if we are in a real fight, you know, like a arguing verbal fight, we will like throw in, you know, wrestling moves, and it's funny, like we know we're joking, but it gets tricky with that sometimes because you don't know what, you know, what crosses the line. So we got in some fight, and he ended up taking my phone and like holding it in front of me, which just pissed me off. So I kept trying to grab the phone, and that was the only thing I was upset about. Like, why are you taking something that belongs to me? And I guess when I went to grab the phone, he said I smacked him. I don't even remember smacking him, but I guess I did something that made him think I was trying to get physical, which I wasn't. Which led to him putting me in some sort of chokehold. He put me in the chokehold. I sat through it for a little bit. And I was testing myself. I'm like, you know, I was legitimately mad, but I also wanted to see, like, how long can I survive in a chokehold?
Okay.
Yeah, I'm glad you paused it there.
Yeah,
God.
just keyword there. Survive. Keyword, survive. And by the way, anyone watching this video, her eyes are darting all over the place. I really cannot stop watching her eyes. They are darting all over the place. She doesn't believe a word she's fucking saying. I'm sorry, she doesn't. Does not believe a word she is fucking saying. I really, really, truly believe that. I think she's just trying to... She loves the guy. She doesn't want him in trouble. And like I said, dude, this is like fucking Stockholm Syndrome. Really, it is. Or battered wife syndrome. They're basically the same thing. They'll do anything they can. They'll defend anybody they can. They love these guys, and they will not leave them no matter what happens or what they do.
So basically, it is true. It takes about, what, 6-7 attempts before they actually lead a person?
Unless the worst happens, yeah. Usually.
Yeah.
Usually. I mean, listen, it's just like we talked about before, you know, just abuse. I mean, and sometimes they just can't get away, man. I mean, you know, we're talking about New Jack and his crazy father. But I don't know, man. I just think that she can't believe what she's saying. I really don't. I don't think she does. But even if she does, that makes it even scarier and even worse. All these excuses. She just made like 5 excuses in like 4 sentences. 2 minutes and 39 seconds in, and she's made like 3 excuses. Okay, well, see, he was teaching me to fight, and you know, sometimes, you know, we just throw each other around. But, hey, you know, it's no big deal. You know, a chokehold, and you know, I'm trying to survive, and you know, I do feel like I'm gonna die sometimes, but it's okay because you know we're joking. You know, Ted, he's just Ted to me. Oh, you're lucky you're not dead from Ted. You crazy one. Anyway, go ahead, guys, please.
I mean, I really don't have much to add to that one. It's just like
I'm sorry.
I'm just hoping, like, at some point, common sense comes into play here, at least on her end, because I feel like Maria, she's still young. There's still hope for her. Teddy Hart, he's 40.
She's got you doing it.
He's 40. He's been a nutcase for like 15, 20 years now. It's too late for him. I'm sorry. It's too late he's a lost cause. But Maria, there's still hope for her. Smart, what you got on this?
Yeah. I just hope someone can step in here. Go ahead, Smart.
Like, I mean, it's all in all, and you know, you've already said that. You don't need me to say it. It's a shitty situation, but it's not anything that I found to be surprising. Like, it's not exactly what I said was going to happen, but it's really not that far off. Because what I said last week, what was going to happen was that she was going to come on and say that there was all a big misunderstanding, and it got blown out of proportion. The only thing that she didn't do was say that the people who are speculating about what's going on are a bunch of haters and nobody gets them but them. That part I was a little bit off on, but everything else I pretty much saw coming. Because unfortunately, the thing about it is that this is not necessarily an atypical thing. This happens quite a bit not every relationship, but in a lot of relationships are like this. It does happen to a lot of people. And, like I said, I don't know what she was exposed to growing up. I don't know what her previous relationships were like. Because, we were talking about the Benoit documentary. Nancy had already been in an abusive relationship prior to Benoit, allegedly, with Sullivan. And I don't know, maybe her other husband. But that ultimately, I believe, led to the incident, because they talked about an incident before what happened that got kind of abusive, and she was on the verge of leaving, but then she kind of just went back because she didn't really view it as being as big of a deal as it ultimately was, I guess. So how that applies to the Maria situation, like, it's just, I don't know. Like I said, I don't know what she saw growing up. I don't know what her relationships are like before. I don't know if she's just in the mindset that that's what relationships look like, or that's the relationship she deserves, whatever. She's coming at things, unfortunately, in sort of a equally naive viewpoint where, she thinks that things are going to get better. Potentially they might, but more often than not, statistically, they don't. And she's like, she's trying to make any possible justification, that would normalize or rationalize Teddy Hart's behavior. And like, it's just like, when it's you, it's kind of hard, as the saying goes, to see the forest through the trees. But when you're sitting there going, yeah, we get into fights sometimes verbally, and then we put each other in wrestling moves just as a joke, oh, he got mad at me, so he took my phone. So then when I tried to get my phone back, he put me in a chokehold, which he eventually stopped. But then, he put me in another chokehold. I don't even know how that happened. That's so cray. It's like, no, this isn't zany hijinks. This is domestic assault.
Yeah.
Like, she thinks highly of him, and obviously she sees a side of him that we don't get to see or whatever, and I'm sure there is some good in him. But when that's what happens in the worst case scenario, there's going to be, just as relationships work, there's going to be more times where they're upset with each other, and where there's more arguments and more fights, verbally at least. And if verbal fights lead to physical fights, there is nothing that indicates that that will not continue to be the case. And potentially worst case scenario is what we saw in the Benoit documentary. Hopefully it doesn't get there, but it's I do feel a bit bad for her, just because anytime like you're in a relationship like that, and you either don't feel like you can get out or don't want to get out, there is sort of a flawed line of thinking and sort of a fear, lack of self-esteem, however you want to look at it. You're not in a great state, in some form or fashion, to be in the position to continue to subject yourself to that in the first place. So I do feel a little bit bad for her, but all in all, like I said, it's just a really shitty situation that hopefully, and I guess it doesn't seem to be the case since Anthony says that he's not in jail anymore. I know that might have just been bond or bail or what have you, but hopefully people outside of the situation, i.e. law enforcement, step in and take control, and they actually do try him and charge him, because that's really the only way I feel like the situation is going to get any better.
Yeah, definitely, man. And I don't know. I guess we'll just have to. But I mean, I see she's putting out a lot of strange videos. A couple days before she made that video, one of them was someone else's inside my body. Another one, my thoughts on Illuminati, mind control, aliens, and simulation theory. Now, after that video, she put out a few. One of them is called "What Even Is the American Dream?" Do we want to even? It's 2 minutes. We want to hear it. Do we want to hear this?
Yes, there needs to be a little bit of levity to this, and I feel like that's going to be what does it.
Well, I don't want to play 9 lives. It's too long. My quarantine routine and a house tour. That's 10 minutes. The government has us brainwashed into not caring about survival, or my thoughts on veganism. I'm going to choose the American Dream
Is that
one.
the same video?
No.
Okay, that would have been great.
No. Different videos. But here we go. Let's check this one out. Let's see what we got here. Let's see here. Load it up.
I'm hoping for a Dusty.
So I was thinking about the Nightwave guy, and I'm thinking, like, typical me, just like asshole, would be like, fight me then, you know what I mean? And, like, obviously, even if I said that, he would say no. And realistically, he'd probably say, like, no, Maria, I don't want to fight you, you're crazy, probably.
Okay, I can't even hear her with the music, and she's babbling. Forget it. We're not playing it. Oh, why would you have the music cranked up and be trying to talk over it? Anyway, I don't know. I mean, we could have played...
It sounded like she was disappointed in the host of Nightwave Radio for not wanting to fight her. Because I guess her overall logic is that, okay, if I fight you, I can prove that I can handle myself in a fight, so I wasn't a victim. It's like, that's not how that fucking shit works.
Well, there is a video, Nightwave, Why You So Obsessed With Me. That's 4 minutes long. So, definitely go, go check out those videos on Maria and Ted's Unfiltered Adventures.
Yeah.
And that's it, guys. That's all I got. Y'all got anything else? We got plenty more.
Kind of makes me feel less sorry for her.
Yeah. But we got plenty more to go through this weekend, guys. We got WrestleMania to go through, so I don't know. What else you got? Oh, otherwise we'll fucking wrap this bitch up. Anything?
I will say real quick, I guess, I believe Anthony posted it. This day in history, pretty much, they did the Kurt Angle versus Shawn Michaels at WrestleMania. I forget exactly how many years that was, but it was apparently this day in history. Well, it's one of my favorite matches of all time. I would put it at probably number 2, honestly. Not even in the pantheon of WrestleMania matches, just in terms of all-time favorites. I put it at number 2 on my list.
Nice. All right. Well, I guess if y'all got nothing else, after that, we'll wrap this bitch up. Here we go. Let me hit the fucking music over here. And let's do this. Shout out to Wrestling OD, the Wrestling Overdose. That is Shaheen over there. You definitely want to check him out on Patreon, patreon.com/Wrestling Overdose. And, of course, NuclearHeatShop.com, Chairshot Tees, and Clotheslined with a D, Media.com. Check out all those sites. And check out Bobby Anthem and Bobby Blades on the Inhuman Experience. Definitely want to go ahead and check those guys out. All the usual podcast platforms. Don't forget to check out the High Marks, Cheeseman Mojo, and G-Wiz Unscripted Wrestling Podcast. Don't forget to check out Eric, Doug, and Daniel over there. Stephen Milan, thank you, sir, for sharing the show. Blah, 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 blah. Check him out on Letterboxd, boxd.com/Stephen Milan with 2 L's. And to all the shows I just mentioned, subscribe, rate, review, follow us on YouTube, Spreaker, Spotify, Google, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, TuneIn, Player FM, and anywhere else you find your podcast. Anthony, let it rip.
Bottom Line Pro Wrestling Podcast, Jason Clark. Available on Spotify, Google Play, Stitcher, and wherever fine podcasts can be heard. Download, share, and enjoy. Oh, and leave us a 5-star review.
There you go. Definitely. All right, guys. We will see you guys for WrestleMania. I think Shaheen's going to be joining us for that. We're going to go ahead and knock that out of the park tomorrow night, I guess. God, I'm going to have no weekend. But oh well, I will still get drunk and sleep late. That's all I care about. And so there we go. We will get that done, and we will see you guys. Thank you guys for tuning in. Really appreciate it. Thanks, everyone, for downloading, and we will see y'all tomorrow night for WrestleMania Night 1. It's too big for one night. See ya.
Take care. Spike your hair.
What?
Give one drink to all in all, we're going home.